What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7RH. 161. The world is a sensation. 2/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Shocked. Luo Qiye single-handedly challenged the four emperors' two pirate groups. Get out. Shocked. The mysterious boy killed Shichibukai. Doflamingo died. Open black lens bracket horror. Sabayati archipelago is sunk infinitely. Close black lens bracket. 10-year-old boys singled out half of the new world. Today the whole world, all newspaper headlines are reporting one thing, that is Luo Qiye's deeds in Sabayati archipelago. What shocked them even more was that after Luo Qiye made a big fuss in the Sabayati archipelago, he just disappeared from the public eye. At this time, in the holy land of Mariajoy, in the huge castle, the five elders of the highest power organization of the world government held a newspaper in their hands. This Luo Qiye can actually fight against the four emperors. An old man said. As the king of the new world, nothing more than that. Isn't his strength directly proportional to his age? Why did another monster appear in this lifeless sea? Bugs need to be fixed. Things whose balance is broken are not allowed to exist. At this moment, several old men are analyzing the situation of this sea. Obviously, every decision they make may change the current situation of this sea. Forget 24. An old man said, compared with the great cause, a small loophole should not affect it. Don't you need to fix it? Everyone else shook their heads. At the same time, on the distant floating sky island, the man with the rudder above his head is smoking a cigar and looking at the newspaper in his hand with great interest. Luo Qiye, the man said with a smile, is he really so powerful? Then my plan to conquer the world. He is indispensable. The person who speaks is the same name as One Piece King Gall D. Roger and Whitebeard, Edward Newgate in the past, the first escaped pirate in the history of Impel Down, the leader of the Flying Pirates, nicknamed Golden Lion, Shaki. And in the Whitebeard pirate group sailing in New World, there is a peaceful atmosphere. The leader of the Whitebeard pirates, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, is on an IV and reading today's newspaper with a giant hand. That kid's strength has really gone one step further. Whitebeard smiled at Marco who was beside him. Yes, Dad, but I am more concerned about his prophecy. Marco said with a heavy heart. For him, the stronger Luo Qiye is now, the more convincing his so-called prophecy. Advertisement. Amusing sports photos. Europress. New World on the other side. The Big Mom pirates and the Beasts pirates are gathering together. The huge loss of Sabayati archipelago made Kaido and Linlin unacceptable. Kaido crushed the wine glass in his hand. This damn Luo Qiye actually caused us such a big loss. In his career as the Kaido Four Emperors, he has never been so angry for a moment that a 10-year-old child should be put in such a situation. Anger. Kaido can't wait to rush to the Sabayati archipelago and smash Luo Qiye to pieces. Charlotte Linlin on the side was equally angry. Katakori's death made him want to tear Luo Qiye to pieces. The huge loss made the two pirate groups of the Four Emperors feel that they could no longer exist in New World as the Four Emperors. Don't worry. Kaido seemed to see through Linlin's thoughts. I will tear his body to pieces. Kaido said viciously. Of course, Shanks, one of the four emperors, picked up the newspaper in front of him. Well done. Luo Qiye. Ben Beckman pulls out a wine glass. You really didn't misread him. Shanks laughed. Of course, when will I be wrong? So, Shanks seems to read the mind of Ben Beckman. Let's party. Woohoo. Countless pirates raised their wine glasses together. Compared with the lively situation on the redhead side. Cheers to Luo Qiye. Cheers. Somewhere in the sea. Blackbeard was looking at the newspaper in his hand. He sneered and said, looks like this sea. There are still people who can keep me passionate. Advertisement. Van Oka squinted at Blackbeard. Would you like to meet him first? Teach smiled coldly. No, we can't let him ruin our plan. At least until the plan is completed. I don't want to have any contact with this Luo Qiye. Van Oka nodded, but did not reply to the captain's words. Naval headquarters. Already assembled. At the marshal's table, they are reporting on what has happened in the Fragrant Islands. So, is this Luo Qiye the center of all topics? Aokiji nodded and said. Indeed, he was indeed a participant in the whole incident. Crane added from the side. Rather than saying that he is a participant, it is better to say that he is the key to the whole incident. Sengoku's glasses look chilly in the sunlight. 7 days later, execute the execution of the pirate Portgas d'Ace. At least he turned down the offer to be 7 warlords of the sea. Crane said. The sun shone on Sengoku's glasses, creating a blinding reflection. What I want to know is whether Luo Qiye can be accepted by our marine. This. He couldn't doubt absolute justice, but he couldn't believe his glasses either. This reward order is issued. It may cause an uproar. Crane said excitedly. It seemed that he wanted to use his voice to calm Sengoku in front of him. And the Crane on the side first didn't understand why, and then glanced at the reward order. This. Sengoku stood up, and the people in front of him saw Sengoku's serious face for the first time, and what he said afterwards shocked everyone present. Call all the remaining 7 warlords of the sea. Sengoku said. Let all the combat power that Marine can use be gathered in Marineford. Don't doubt your eyes, said Sengoku. Even Akainu, who has always been calm, showed a shocked expression. It's all clear, let's send it. We have other things to discuss. No one could see Sengoku's expression clearly at this time, but the power revealed in his words made everyone feel. Marshal Sengoku seems to have known their answer. Then issue a bounty. Everyone stood at attention and took several reward orders from Sengoku. Sengoku nodded. Are you doubting the headquarters plan? Do you have any objection to their reward? Sengoku said in a deep voice. Among the three admirals, Kizaru, the only one who didn't speak, just looked at the reward order in his hand in a daze. Aokiji took the reward order, glanced at the amount of 643 on it, and was dumbfounded. Is this true? Advertisement. 162. 2.5 billion rewards. Is there no ship in New World that can carry me? Open black lens bracket 3/5 full order close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Everyone present was shocked. It was as if these two pieces of news had completely absorbed all the shocks in this life of everyone present. Then get ready. Just as everyone in the world is in shock at the events of the Sabayati archipelago. The next two messages made the world go crazy. The first one is the release of the reward order for Luo Qiye and his gang. First up is Stussy. Bounty 500 million Baileys. Edward Wable. Bounty 700 million Baileys. Momosugi. Bounty 1 billion Baileys. Fujitora Smile. Bounty 1.5 billion Baileys. What? The team of red hair pirates. There are actually two people with more than 1 billion bounties. There are still marine traders. Has the Luo Qiye pirates already joined the ranks of the four emperors? Too strong. How much bounty will this Luo Qiye get? The world has been overwhelmed by these huge bounty numbers. Unparalleled shock. Everyone can't imagine it. The bounties of these people have surpassed most pirate groups. Even Stussy with the lowest bounty has more bounties than all the other pirates combined. Now on the boat, Fujitora smiled and flipped through the reward orders one by one. Aren't you curious how much your reward is? He picked up Luo Qiye's reward order. Said to Luo Qiye. Luo Qiye didn't pay attention, just stood by the boat looking at the sea, waited for a while, and said, anyway, there must be more than you. Fujitora laughed and said, of course it will be more than me. But there are a full 2.5 billion Baileys. 2.5 billion Baileys. Luo Qiye's bounty. 2.5 billion Baileys. Advertisement. At this moment, this news has shocked the whole world. All those who got the reward order will undoubtedly be extremely shocked. Both four emperors, Shichibukai, Supernova, no matter who it is. No one would have thought that the amount of reward offered by Luo Qiye would reach an astonishing 2.5 billion. He is worth 2.5 billion. After all, one person has resisted the siege of four emperors' pirates. Retreat. A 2.5 billion reward for a newcomer. Is Marine so afraid of Luo Qiye? Why is he worth 2.5 billion? If he is worth 2.5 billion, I am worth it too. Everyone is talking about Luo Qiye's reward amount. Indeed, he can be said to be a fledgling, but he has such an achievement. Although his performance proves that he is worthy of this achievement. But the bounty of 2.5 billion is something that Luo Qiye did not expect. 2.5 billion. Luo Qiye looked at the reward in his hand and couldn't help but fell into deep thought. Now it's 2.5 billion. Then after another big event coming soon, won't my bounty be 5 billion? He laughed while thinking about it. Just when Luo Qiye was secretly delighted with his bounty, another piece of news that he didn't expect came. Marine decides to execute the son of One Piece, Fire Fist, Gal D. Ace, in naval headquarters 7 days later. It was like a thunderstorm in the clear sky. Before everyone had recovered from the shock just now, this even more shocking news came. Public execution. Public execution. Everyone is repeating this sentence. The Straw Hat Pirates who were traveling on the ocean also received this news. This, Nami exclaimed. Now this news one after another has shocked her beyond anything. Luffy, she said worriedly to Luffy not far away. Luffy was holding the reward order in his hand at this time. I'm going to save him. He lifted the straw hat on his head. He said to the partners behind him. Ah, Chopper and Nami hugged each other. Luffy must be crazy. Going to rescue Ace. It will undoubtedly mean declaring war on the entire marine. But we also understand the bond between Luffy and Ace. So even if they were afraid, they decided to go forward with Luffy. Even if there is an abyss ahead. And at this time at Luo Qiye, everyone looked at Luo Qiye in puzzlement. They also don't understand why Luo Qiye must go to this muddy water. Apparently Marine is here to fight the Whitebeard pirates to the death. Momosugi said. As a former Marine, she can best understand the intention of Marine's every move. Advertisement. On the other hand, Luo Qiye's eyes suddenly brightened. Must go, he said affirmatively. How can this big show be without me? And when everyone looked at Luo Qiye's excited expression, they couldn't find any reason to refute it for a while. Let him go. Momosugi shook her head helplessly. She knew that she couldn't solve the problem that Luo Qiye had already decided. While the rest of the world, everyone was overwhelmed beyond belief. According to the meaning of naval headquarters. That is to say, in 7 days, it will be a decisive battle with the Whitebeard pirates in Marineford of naval headquarters. Decisive battle. The battle between Marine and the Whitebeard pirates, the leader of the four emperors. God, what happened? What happened to the nearest world? A person with a bad heart in this world today will definitely have a heart attack after being shocked by one shocking news after another. Moby DK on the New World. Whitebeard was in a good mood because he saw the bounty from Luo Qiye, but another news made his veins pop. Old days. Remnants of the old days. He suddenly thought of Luo Qiye's letter. He also thought of what Luo Qiye said. Really, is there no ship in New World that can carry me? Whitebeard said gravely, and Marco and others who got the news also found Whitebeard early. Daddy, captain of the first team. Marco sees something is wrong with Whitebeard. Call all the crew, Whitebeard said coldly. The vicissitudes of life could not be expressed in his tone. I will not give up one of my sons. Whitebeard of Zhao's continued. Won't give up any of them. The huge Moby DK shone in the cold moonlight. The entire world at this moment has been messed up by information from various channels. After all, several big messages were condensed in the end. First, Luo Qiye fought against the 4 emperors' 2 pirate groups in Sabayati archipelago. He did not lose the wind. He even killed Doflamingo, one of the Shichibukai after fighting against the 2 pirate groups. The second is Luo Qiye's bounty. 2.5 billion Baileys. It's more than any 4 emperors, mate, even more than any supernova's bounty. Third, Marine is about to execute Ace in Marineford. That means, Marine is about to fight against the most powerful pirate group in 4 emperors. Whitebeard pirate group. This is a collision of eras. Luo Qiye's eyes are brightened. Forcibly press the joy. The collision of the old era and the new era. What kind of light can I show here? Advertisement. 163. No one can stop our progress. 4/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. On the vast sea, the Moby DK is anchored on the sea. At this moment, the sun is shining brightly. However, there was no sound in the field. Whitebeard officially issued a summoning order, and many cadres of the Whitebeard pirates are leading their fleets towards the Moby DK. The people of the first team directly led by Phoenix Marco formed a mighty fleet and arrived at the first assembly point first. The Phoenix Marco stood on the deck, his yellow hair was particularly bright under the breeze. However, Marco, who has always been relatively sluggish, now has a fierce look in his eyes. Ace, we will definitely get you out. Waves formed on the surface of the sea. This is the scene formed after a large number of ships rowed across the sea. The second squad originally led by Fire Fist Ace arrived at the scene. The faces of many pirates were full of anger. Rescue the captain, we must get the captain out. The soul of fire never dies. A burly man with dark skin, the surface of his body shone brightly. The third team captain, Diamond Ziz, directly led his fleet to the scene. Ace, you are such a mischievous guy. After the 700 incidents this time, you should have improved. As a fruit-capable user, Josie has shown his strongest defensive state at this moment, and is ready to enter the battlefield at any time. The captain of the 5th Division, Foil Vista, led his fleet to the scene as well. Foil Vista drew out 2 long swords, wearing a top hat, and his eyes were full of eagerness. All the cadres of the numerous Whitebeard pirates have arrived. A total of 16 squadron captains led their fleet to the scene. The mighty fleet is clustered together, and the sea surface is covered with patches of shadows. At this time, 43 pirate groups under the Whitebeard pirate group also came here. Big Uzumaki Spider Kushot is even more indignant. Is it a Kainu? This time I will definitely penetrate your body with the sharp knife in my hand. Every time Skuyad thought of the latest news he got from Luo Qiye, he felt incomparably indignant. He couldn't imagine what kind of regret he would live in the rest of his life if the sharp knife in his hand went straight through Whitebeard's body. Advertisement. At the same time, Whitebeard CEAF stood on the deck of the Moby DK, looked at the many men who were ready ahead, and laughed loudly. Luhahaha. Boys, the Ace guy has a little problem. Marine actually wants to threaten us with Ace's life. They actually wanted to execute Ace publicly. This is absolutely not allowed. As soon as the words fell, invisible waves began to appear continuously on the surface of Whitebeard's body. Then, many ships on the sea surface began to tremble. The invisible fluctuation even affected the entire seaside, thus affecting the entire assembly point. Many pirates looked at Whitebeard on the deck of the Moby DK enthusiastically. This is our captain, Whitebeard, the strongest man above the sea. As long as the captain is there, no one can stop our progress. The Whitebeard pirates are the most powerful existence in this world. Thoughts similar to this in the hearts of many pirates became more determined. Whitebeard looked at the crowd, and his voice became even deeper. Since Marine has chosen to tell the world, it is impossible for our Whitebeard pirates to stand by and watch. To completely break through the entire naval headquarters base is our goal this time. All those who try to stop this activity are all our enemies and all will die. As soon as the voice fell, there was a frantic cheer at the scene. Kill all Marines. Tamp down Marineford. Kill all enemies. Rescue Captain Ace. Many cheers began to echo continuously at the scene. Looking from a distance, a large area of shadows gathered together, and the cheers of many people even caused the entire sea to tremble continuously. Whitebeard looked at the scene in front of him with satisfaction, and a deep roar spread throughout the audience. Advertisement. Set off. With Whitebeard's order, the mighty eagle eyes directly covered the distance. At this moment in the corner, Morgan's was just a camera phone bug placed on the scene, observing the mobilization scene of the Whitebeard pirates from a long distance. Great, it seems that a world-class news will appear in my hands soon. Everyone, record every single scene of the Whitebeard pirates in action. I decided to do a feature story after the war. The name is Whitebeard Pirates Destroyed. Morgans never expected the Whitebeard pirates to defeat Marine. On the entire surface of the sea, Marine relied on his own strength to directly suppress the four Emperor's pirates. Even if the Whitebeard pirates are strong, they may fight against the entire Marine with their own power. In terms of Marine, there are countless fighting powers between Yinzhong and Vice Admiral. Add in Garp the Marine hero, Sengoku the Buddha, and Vice Admiral the unparalleled Crane, and it never occurred to Marine to fail. On the other side, Marine is also undergoing a big mobilization. Naval Headquarters Base. Buddha Sengoku is sending orders one by one and at a fast speed to various destinations. All 7 warlords of the sea called together. All the mid and senior level Marine generals who were outrushed back to the headquarters base as quickly as possible. All the troops in the recruit training camp are fully equipped and ready to support the battlefield at any time. The naval headquarters base is on the first level of security, and we are trying our best to contact the spies in the Whitebeard pirates. Of course, the world government has already arranged corresponding spies in the Whitebeard pirate group. Therefore, naval headquarters also learned of the movements of the Whitebeard pirates for the first time. However, Bartholomew Kuma had already been taken away by the Revolutionary Army. And Doflamingo also died in the hands of Luo Qiye. But now, only the world's #1 swordsman Hawkeye and Empress Hancock are left for the majestic Shichibukai. Blackbeard, who had just become 7 warlords of the sea, was not standing firm. Therefore, in this convening event, the main targets of naval headquarters are Empress Hancock and the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye. Sengoku of the Buddha said in a condensed voice, "Mole, go to the Lily Kingdom immediately and issue a call to Hancock in person. Hawkeye has already sent someone to spread the news, and other people don't have to pay attention to it." Advertisement. 164. The Straw Hats. The disappearing Luo Qiye. 5/5. Ask for full order. Advertisement. As the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye often wanders around the world, looking for more powerful sharpeners. As one of the Shichibukai, while enjoying rights and privileges, Hawkeye must also accept the call of Marine anytime, anywhere. Therefore, Marine has always maintained the method of getting in touch with Hawkeye as soon as possible. The Marine Vice Admiral Mole nodded heavily, and quickly left the base with many ministers. The huge naval headquarters base is like a huge machine, and every person in every department is like a part, starting to operate extremely precisely. Under the dissemination of the news agency, the news that the Whitebeard pirates and naval headquarters all started to move quickly spread all over the world. On an unknown sea, the Blackbeard pirates gather. Van Oka frowned slightly, and said, "Captain, things are getting bigger and bigger, and the Marine side has also issued a summons to us. Do we also need to get to naval headquarters within the stipulated time?" There was a gleam in Blackbeard's eyes. "Go. We must go. The most critical part of our next plan must be completed at this stage. This time, we will harvest the most fruitful fruits of the Great War." Speaking of this, Blackbeard couldn't help laughing, and the whole person became extremely wanton. This time the incident was something he had planned for a long time. And the collision between the Whitebeard pirates and naval headquarters is also the biggest expectation in his heart at the moment. Luo Qiye, after my plan is completed, we must have a good fight. In New World, the Big Mom pirates and the Beasts pirates are also ready to go. Charlotte Linlin's eyes were bloodshot. "Kaido, the opportunity we've been waiting for has finally come. Then let's start by destroying the Whitebeard pirates. That old thing Whitebeard is old, he is no longer fit to be active on this sea." Compared with Charlotte Linlin and Kaido, Whitebeard's situation is indeed a bit bad at the moment. Because he used Devil Fruit's ability to fight too frequently when he was young, Whitebeard's body was full of various hidden wounds. Advertisement. Therefore, now Whitebeard must rely on modern medical technology to maintain his life. And this news, to Charlotte Linlin, has long been no secret. Kaido nodded heavily, and said, "Yeah, let's take that old Whitebeard thing first. Of course, if there is a chance, this time, we can kill Marine directly. As for Luo Qiye, that little thing won't be around for long. The blood debt of the 3 Kanbans, I must personally recover from him." Thinking of the news he received from the battlefield last time, Kaido's brows couldn't help but start to twitch wildly. Among the Beast's pirates, the combat effectiveness of the 3 major Kanban levels is also extremely rare. Even if he has developed for decades, there are only such 3 powerful subordinates. However, in the last battle, Luo Qiye, a 10-year-old boy, lost all the boards in the rain. This made Kaido both ashamed and extremely angry. In today's sea, it was even rumored that the Beast's pirates could not compete with Luo Qiye's personal strength at all. Charlotte Linlin on the side also couldn't wait. At the behest of Charlotte Linlin and Kaido of the Beasts, the assembled armies of the 2-4 Emperors pirate groups also moved towards the naval headquarters base. So far, the 3-4 Emperors pirate groups above the sea have all started to act. And such news cannot be concealed at all. All the pirates got the corresponding news, and they were in panic all day long. In their view, the frontal collision between the 4 Emperors pirates and Marine will definitely become very scary. And these people, with the unknown situation in the future, don't know what to do at all. The Straw Hat Pirates. After learning the news of the dispatch of the Whitebeard pirates, Luffy's suggestion was approved by everyone. Luffy's eyes were bloodshot. Since Whitebeard and the others have already dispatched, we absolutely cannot wait any longer. Advertisement. This opportunity, for us, is unique. Even Nami, who has always been timid, said directly, "Go, we must go this time." Ask for flowers. Nami understands very well that if he continues to stop Luffy, then the Straw Hat Pirates will definitely have a corresponding gap. Since Luffy is destined to go to the scene to rescue Ace, how could they be left behind as partners? Zoro wore a green algae head, and directly tied the green scarf on his right arm. Just go straight away, why bother to think so much? In any case, everything is determined by strength. How can such a person stay safely above the sea? Although Mole had already prepared in his heart, he had to make this angry gesture. With the help of the Sea Stone, after passing through the calm belt safely, many marines represented by the Mole arrived at the Lily Kingdom. When is he going to show up? Luo Qiye, why did this guy suddenly disappear? With a smile on Gloriosa's face, she said, Mole, the Empress is waiting in the palace, come with me. Mole's face darkened slightly, and he said, where's Hancock? Suppressing the anger in his heart, the Mole followed Gloriosa towards the palace. At this point, on the surface of the sea, the Straw Hat Pirates, who had just gained a corresponding reputation, quickly started to act. At this time, the rest of the people above the sea were also secretly searching for the conclusions of Luo Qiye and his many partners. As for Robin on the other side, at this moment, all his thoughts are on Luo Qiye. On the other side, the Marine Lord asked the mouse to lead his fleet directly to the Lily Kingdom. Otherwise, if this matter gets out, I'm afraid Marine's face will plummet again. The corresponding reception staff of the Lily Kingdom have already been in place. A large number of people are guarding the port. Although many people of the Lily Kingdom are armed with weapons, the smiles on their faces are still extremely enthusiastic. Anyway, he came on behalf of Naval Headquarters, and Hancock, as Shichibukai, didn't come to greet him at the first time. After arriving at the palace, the Mole and his generals didn't even have time to get angry, their eyes widened quickly, and their faces were full of astonishment. The Mole scanned the crowd and found the Empress Hancock coming. Advertisement. 165. Is this a place where you ants can get involved? 1/5. Ask for full order. Advertisement. On the way here, the Mole had thought of many ways to get angry and confront Hancock. However, when he saw this figure in front of him, all the anger in his heart disappeared in an instant. Inside the palace, the Empress Hancock, who was wearing a red robe, just glanced at them with a haughty look on her face, but ignored them. And beside Hancock, stood a figure that they had long engraved in their hearts. This person is Luo Qiye. Why is Luo Qiye here? When did he get hooked up with Boya Hancock? What's the matter? Are we really right to come this time? The Marine Vice Admiral Mole was thoroughly waxed. And the many parts beside him were even more stunned, and they didn't dare to say a word. Gloriosa, the former Empress of 107, looked at the scene above with a helpless face. Inside the palace, Luo Qiye turned around and pretended to be surprised and asked, isn't this a mole? UB**************, D, what are you doing here? Is this a place where you ants can get involved? Did you come here following in my footsteps? Speaking of this, Luo Qiye deliberately sighed, shook his head and said, I advise you to give up. A little bit of starlight, how can it be possible to follow the footsteps of the sun? It's enough to feel lucky that you can enjoy the corner light that I radiate. Hearing this, the faces of many marine generals below were full of anger. The face of the leading Mole, Vice Admiral, had already turned red. But every time I think of the powerful fighting power that Luo Qiye erupted on the battlefield last time. Mole could only pretend that he didn't hear anything, and directly lowered his head. Seeing this, Luo Qiye felt bored, and then waved his hands casually. Hancock, you handle it. Let these guys go as soon as possible. Didn't the Lily Kingdom never welcome foreign men other than me? Hearing this, Hancock with a bright smile on his face said respectfully, Your Excellency is right, our Lily Kingdom only welcomes the arrival of a male, Your Excellency. I'll get these guys out of here right away. Advertisement. As he said that, Hancock couldn't help flashing a softness in his eyes, and became more respectful towards Luo Qiye. At this time, the many marines below couldn't help but gasp. Is this still the proud Empress Hancock? Is this still that invincible woman? What the hell did I just see? Many marines couldn't believe what they saw. Hancock, who doesn't pay attention to any man at all, is so respectful to Luo Qiye. At the same time, the sound of the system began to resound deep in Luo Qiye's mind. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Successful host pretense successfully. Get 10,860 pretense points. Close black lens bracket. Luo Qiye nodded in satisfaction, and had a clearer understanding of Hancock. I didn't expect this woman to have such a use. That's right, after all, she is called the most beautiful woman on the entire sea. On the other side, Hancock turned his head away after obeying. Then, in the blink of an eye, the smile on Hancock's face disappeared. What are you doing here? Our Lily Kingdom does not welcome Marine's arrival. Have you understood what the adults said? If there is nothing else, you can get out. Hancock's head was held high, and he only looked at the many Marines below from the corner of his eye. Even among the many Marines standing in front of her, the Marine Vice Admiral Mole from China still couldn't make Hancock pay attention. Even because of the arrival of Mole and others, the conversation between her and Luo Qiye was interrupted. That made Hancock's rhetoric even more impatient. Mole's face immediately became very ugly. Hancock, have you forgotten your Shichibukai identity? Naval Headquarters has already issued a Shichibukai summoning order, why haven't you Lily Kingdom acted? The Lily Kingdom qualifies as a Shichibukai. In addition to the particularity of Hancock, it is mainly because all the people in the Lily Kingdom are soldiers. Advertisement. Although all the Lily Kingdoms are women, every woman has the powerful ability to go to the battlefield at any time. This is why Hancock can act so arrogantly. Of course, when the Lily Kingdom was looting, there was another name, that is the 9 Snake Pirates. Hancock curled his lips in disdain. Concubine, do you still need to teach me how to do things? Then, Hancock's eyeballs rolled slightly, and he hurriedly turned around with a smile on his face, looking at Luo Qiye in front of him. My lord, there is such a thing. The Marine wants to invite me to participate in the war. My lord, do you think I want to participate in this war? It sounds like there is no benefit for our Lily Kingdom. Even after saying this, the tenderness in Hancock's eyes has already shown that she completely obeys Luo Qiye's arrangement. While speaking, Hancock directly picked up a strawberry placed aside, and gently put it on Luo Qiye's mouth. Luo Qiye took the strawberry in one mouthful, and Jonan couldn't help showing a smile on his face. Participate. Of course you have to participate. Just don't think about helping or anything. You just have to remember that the Lily Kingdom is looking for a good show in the past this time. Isn't the Whitebeard pirates a good opponent? This time, Marineford will definitely put on a big show. How could we easily miss this big show? Hearing this, the Empress Hancock at the side agreed with a smile, and even began to arrange many subordinates to make preparations on the spot. Gloriosa and the other ministers who were waiting aside did not hesitate at all, and quickly began to implement Hancock's 3.0 cold. At this time, Luo Qiye turned his head and glanced at the mole lightly. Mole, huh, too bad you're only a Marine Vice Admiral, otherwise I might have been able to stretch my legs today. Hearing this, Mole's forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he lowered his head directly, and his back was covered with a dense layer of sweat in an instant. Luo Qiye's Observation Haki learned of all this immediately, and the last thought in his heart completely disappeared. Luo Qiye waved his hands impatiently. All right, go back and tell Sengoku that I'm very interested in his golden Buddha. I don't know if his golden Buddha can withstand my punch. Tell him that if I am interested, I will meet him in person then. Advertisement. 166. Ultimate Lucky Draw. Growth Elixir. Grow Up. 2/5. Ask for full order. Advertisement. Luo Qiye is still extremely curious about Sengoku's combat power. After all, this guy is also a top figure leading an era. Sengoku was able to defeat many strong men and heroes of his time, and directly climbed to the position of Marine Marshal by relying on his illustrious military exploits. Of course, he is not a vulgar person. Mole raised his head subconsciously, and looked at Luo Qiye in front of him in astonishment. He really wanted to anger Luo Qiye. Marshal Sengoku was not something anyone could easily deal with. But after weighing the fighting power of the two sides, Mole finally bowed his head aggrieved, turned and left directly. The same is true for the rest of the Marine generals in the rear, and they dare not fart. Although they have suppressed it with all their strength, the anger on their faces is still revealed. Gloriosa's etiquette was very good, and she directly sent Mole and others away in person. And at this time, many ministers of the Lily Kingdom in the entire palace were all looking at Luo Qiye with extremely admiring eyes. In front of many Marine generals, Luo Qiye belittled Buddha Sengoku indifferently. This is equivalent to constantly teasing the sensitive nerves of many Marine generals. However, many Marines can only leave 24 in despair in the end. Such a thing is beyond the imagination of many people in the Lily Kingdom. Empress Hancock also had similar behaviors, but she only dared to treat Marine who came to the Lily Kingdom contemptuously. How dare she despise the Buddha Sengoku on weekdays? Even so, Hancock's behavior was also admired by many people. Not to mention that at this moment Luo Qiye staged such a big show in front of many ministers. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for successfully pretending to be coercive and getting 6,666 pretense points. Close black lens bracket. Luo Qiye was secretly happy. Lily Kingdom is a nice place. Tisk tisk tisk, this place is really a treasure. After the Sabayati Archipelago event ended, the people led by Luo Qiye came directly to the Calm Belt Lily Kingdom. Luo Qiye's fighting deeds have already spread throughout the sea. All of this, of course, thanks to the hype of that guy in Morgan's. Above the sea, Hyuga is honored by the strong. Luo Qiye's powerful fighting power is clearly visible, even if he is as proud as the Empress Hancock, he is directly impressed. Of course, perhaps it was because Luo Qiye was only 10 years old at the moment, so Empress Hancock didn't think much about it. Advertisement. And this point also made Luo Qiye feel a little turmoil in his heart. Lousy doesn't believe it anymore, can't the shortcomings of my age be made up for? Knowing Hancock's charming gesture just now, Luo Qiye couldn't help but tremble in his heart. Luo Qiye also has a clearer understanding of the uniqueness of this Hancock woman. Hancock is not only outstanding in appearance, the top of the world, but also carries an imperial aura that other women can't match. This is an extremely terrifying attraction for any man. After dismissing Hancock casually, Luo Qiye sat directly on the throne that originally belonged to Hancock. System. Check my current pretense. Host currently has 286,499 pretense points. The sound of the system emerged in the depths of my mind. A look of impatience appeared on Luo Qiye's face. More than 280,000 pretentious points. If you don't smoke at this time, when will you wait? System. Come directly to the ultimate lottery draw. Luo Qiye made a decisive decision. This time, the accumulated pretense points reached a new high, and Luo Qiye became even more looking forward to the upcoming lottery draw. Host consumes 100,000 pretense points to start the ultimate lucky draw. Congratulations to host, you got the elixir, Beibao growth pill. Hiss. Luo Qiye couldn't help but gasped. Could this be the legendary one-shot into the soul? System, check the instructions of Beibao growth pill. Then, a flow of information directly appeared in the depths of Luo Qiye's mind. All the information of Beibao's life bill has also been thoroughly seen by Luo Qiye. What? 100 treasure growth pill can directly grow for 8 years. Doesn't this mean that as long as I take this elixir, my age will directly exceed 18 years old? Is Lousy an adult right now? Luo Qiye couldn't help flashing a fiery look in his eyes. In Luo Qiye's mind, the charming figure of the talented Empress Hancock immediately appeared. Little fairy, look at the young master, how can I deal with you this time? Advertisement. The huge power of chi and blood in Luo Qiye's body began to speed up. However, when Luo Qiye was about to take the 100 treasure growth pill, he was suddenly taken aback. No, my real age this year is 10 years old. If I take the elixir, I can directly reach the age of 18. Doesn't that mean I lost 8 years of my lifespan? Thinking of this, Luo Qiye suddenly lost his composure. Luo Qiye went through many special lottery draws, and finally got the 100 treasure growth pill, and it was only one piece. If taking this special elixir reduces one's lifespan by 8 years, wouldn't the gain outweigh the loss? System, will eating this elixir really make me lose 8 years of life? Luo Qiye chose the inquiry system straightforwardly. Host, this information is currently unknown, please host to explore by yourself. Hearing this, Luo Qiye's face immediately collapsed. 913. System, continue with the ultimate lottery draw. Host consumes 100,000 to pretend to be aggressive, and starts the ultimate lucky draw. After all, lifespan is very precious, even if there is 1/10,000th danger, Luo Qiye does not want to try it lightly. A mysterious space breath was born in Luo Qiye's body immediately. At the same time, Luo Qiye had a bright light in his eyes. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the full level unlimited sword system. Today's luck is extremely hot, Luo Qiye certainly doesn't want to miss this good opportunity. An invisible fluctuation flashed by, and the blade of the demon saber Shinran shook slightly. The mysterious space breath finally gathered together, directly forming a huge space. Luo Qiye's consciousness couldn't even know the size of this space in the first place. A look of hesitation appeared on Luo Qiye's face. He could feel that at this moment, there was a wonderful connection between him and numerous weapons. After a while, Luo Qiye finally gritted his teeth and put away the growth pill. The next moment, Luo Qiye could clearly perceive that in the special space in his body, an identical magic knife with thousands of blades took shape. 0. Luo Qiye looked at the magic knife Shinran in his hand, and after a little hesitation, he directly used his special mental power to pull the magic knife Shinran. Advertisement. 167. Unlimited sword system. Let the concubine come. 3/5. Ask for full order. Advertisement. Sure enough, is this the real function of unlimited sword system? Unlimited sword system comes from the world of fate, it is a very unique ability, and what Luo Qiye obtained is the full-level unlimited sword system. Once the user casts it, he can directly and unconditionally copy the corresponding combat weapon inside his body. As long as it is a weapon that Luo Qiye has seen, it can be directly copied in the space of the body, and then used in battle. In this way, Luo Qiye can even directly copy the special move that Edward Wabel uses through Zidao. Of course, while performing the corresponding moves, Luo Qiye's physical strength and energy will also be consumed accordingly. The most important thing is that all the sword moves copied by Luo Qiye, after being used, will have their own consumption. For Luo Qiye, as long as he directly copied the magic knife Thousand Blade, he can directly use all the moves displayed by the magic knife Thousand Blade in the form of having the consumption. This special ability is enough to turn the tide of battle at a critical moment. After the system has been strengthened, the full-level infinite sword system is an extremely powerful ability even for Luo Qiye at this moment. The various defects of the original full-level sword system have already been directly made up for by the system. A gleam of excitement appeared on Luo Qiye's face. Taking advantage of the overwhelming luck, Luo Qiye started to draw wildly. System, use all the remaining pretense points for advanced lottery draws. Host consumes 10,000 pretense points to start the advanced lottery draw. Congratulations to host, you got full-level water evil extinguishing magic. This is a special magic from the fairy tale world, and it is also a powerful magic at the wizard level. Luo Qiye couldn't help showing a smile on Jonan's face. He can clearly perceive that a lot of strange magic knowledge is filling his brain. Is this the power of magic? Luo Qiye's consciousness is directly projected onto the outer sky. Then, I saw dense ice crystals suddenly condensed in the sky. A large number of ice crystals are even constantly rotating. Above the sky, a huge Uzumaki is slowly condensing. And everyone in the Lily Kingdom felt that the sky had become much darker in an instant. Swish. At the critical moment, Luo Qiye stopped directly. Advertisement. But many people at the scene only thought that the weather had changed in a short period of time. This situation is very common above the sea. Host consumes 10,000 to act aggressively, and starts the advanced lottery draw. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the Gorfiend ultimate path, destroying the world. Luo Qiye couldn't help but began to get excited. A move from the DNF world. Gorfine Jadao. World Destroyer, at any rate, is also the red-eyed 3-sense skill in the world. Red Eye's unique skills are enough to cause landslides and ground cracks. And the terrifying effect of the 3 unique skills is even more obvious. Luo Qiye was a good guy on the spot. Congratulations to host for consuming 10,000 pretense points and opening the advanced lottery draw. Congratulations to host, you got stamina plus 100. In the following time, Luo Qiye obtained 2 stamina bonus effects one after another. In an instant, Luo Qiye could clearly feel a large amount of warm current flowing through his body. I'm afraid my current physical fitness has reached a new extreme. I just don't know if there is still a gap compared to that guy Kaido. Host consumes 10,000 pretense points to start the advanced lottery draw. Congratulations host, you got speed plus 100 points. Host consumes. In the end, after the results of the lottery came out, Luo Qiye got 200 points of stamina bonus and 200 points of speed bonus respectively. The most surprising thing is that Luo Qiye actually got 200 points of strength bonus in the last 2 advanced lottery draws. System, check my personal attribute panel. Yes, host. Host. Luo Qiye. Age. 10 years old. Strength. 1166-10 for normal people. Speed. 977-10 for ordinary people. Advertisement. Physical strength. 1286-10 for ordinary people. Pretentious points. 6,499. Abilities. Holy Spirit Swordsmanship Sword 23, full level. Buddha's Wrath and Fire Lotus 3 colors Gambling, full level. Full level of Sword Intent, full level of Swordsmanship Talent. 100% Empty-Handed and White Blade, full level Observation Haki, top level. Conqueror's Haki, top level Armament Haki, high level Full Body Susano, Gold Hado no 90 Black Coffin, full level Listening to Everything, full level Starburst Airflow Slash, full level Moko Botmo, Advanced, Eugian Flying. Sword Lie Intermediate Kilometer, 1 sword opens the Heavenly Gate Primary, Sound Wave Penetration Ability, Unlimited Sword Control, full level Blood Demon Pull. World Destruction, Ice Evil Destruction Magic, full level. Weapon. Magic Sword 1000 Blades. The Strength attribute also directly broke through 1000, and the Speed attribute was also on the verge of being over 1000. Luo Qiye couldn't help but nodded slightly. In the last battle, the benefits he gained were simply jaw-dropping. Sure enough, the gold belt for murder and arson. After the lottery draw ended, Luo Qiye, who was in a good mood, quickly led the crowd to rendezvous with the 9 snake pirates. Under the sunshine, Luo Qiye's strong body shone with bronze light, which attracted the attention of many women in the field. On the deck, Luo Qiye was lying on a deck chair, wearing a pair of red sunglasses. Of course, even in terms of temperament, Stussy is also at a disadvantage. Seeing this scene, Queen of the Pleasure District Stussy's eyes flickered, and after a while, she directly took out a corresponding fruit plate that had been carefully prepared from the cabin. Because everyone needed to cross the calm belt this time, Luo Qiye led Fujitora and others directly onto the ship of the 9 snake pirates. Stussy just didn't dare to stop the fox. After all, there is a certain difference between the two of them in terms of figure and appearance. Otherwise, it will definitely be attacked by many sea kings in the calm belt area. However, Stussy was nearing the deck with the fruit plate just now, and Hancock had already been prepared by the side, so he walked up and took the fruit plate. Let the concubine come. Hancock swayed a wonderful figure, directly approaching Luo Qiye. There was a charming smile on Hancock's face, and his explosive body was leaning on the recliner as if he was weak and boneless. Hancock directly took the fruit plate, came to Luo Qiye's side, and gently picked up a purple grape. Their existing ships were stolen and could not pass the calm belt easily. The bright sun shines directly on Luo Qiye's body, like sunbathing. My lord, this is a fruit plate carefully prepared by my concubine, please come and taste it. Under the sunlight, Hancock wearing a red dress is as smooth as satin. Advertisement. 168. My lord, try being a concubine. 4/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Luo Qiye nodded slightly. A look of surprise flashed across Hancock's face. He picked up a grape and handed it to Luo Qiye's mouth. My lord, try the amethyst grapes I prepared for you. My lord, this is the crystal heart peach I planted myself. The concubine feeds the adults one. Hancock's soft voice kept ringing in Luo Qiye's ears. The chi and blood in Luo Qiye's body continued to flow faster, and he wished he could get up and do Hancock on the spot. But all of this must be based on eating the elixir. Thinking of the possible loss of 8 years of life, Luo Qiye finally sighed slightly and continued to passively accept Hancock's service. With the beauty by his side, the depression in Luo Qiye's heart gradually began to decrease. And Fujitora and others also left the space above the deck. In the end, only Yao Lianye and Empress Hancock were left on the deck. And on the other side, Thousand Sunny is sailing fast. On the deck, everyone from the Straw Hat Pirates gathered together. Robin is constantly gathering all kinds of information recently received. Soon, Robin raised his head solemnly. Everyone, we may have to change our direction this time. Marineford is no longer the final destination for our 787s. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates suddenly turned their heads. A look of determination flashed across Luffy's face, and he said, Robin, I have to save Ace. Robin on the side said without hesitation, I understand what you mean. But look carefully, the 4 Emperors pirate group and many pirates are all gathering towards Marineford. With the power of these people, even if Marine has already made corresponding preparations, it is impossible to attack Ace easily. Judging from our current strength, even if we go directly to the scene, it won't be of much use. Advertisement. Then if we go to this place, we can directly hit Marine hard. Robin's finger gently pointed to a location on the map, which was the deep sea prison. In Luffy's eyes, a bright light burst out. Robin, do you mean we can go to prison? Zoro and others on the side also looked excited. Robin nodded heavily, and said, that's right, in order to guard against the attacks of many pirates, Marine's defense force must be extremely empty. We took the opportunity to go straight to the deep sea prison and loot all the prisoners. This will definitely make Marine care about one thing and lose another. Just like that, Thousand Sunny quickly turned around and started to head towards the deep sea Dawn. The sun above the sea was still shining brightly. Luo Qiye enjoyed the personal service of Empress Hancock every day, and soon, 3 days passed directly. At this time, there were only 3 days left before the execution time of Ace announced by Marine. My lord, this is a new dish that I learned from the chef yesterday. Seafood and fruit are added in it, and for the convenience of adults, I specially made them into the shape of meatballs. As he said that, Hancock, who was wearing a long purple dress, directly picked up a small special meatball and gently put it forward. Luo Qiye opened his mouth, closed his eyes tightly, and swallowed it in one gulp. The size is moderate, the texture is good, it's okay. Luo Qiye felt the joy brought by the beating of the food on the taste buds, and sent out the latest comments very naturally. A look of excitement soon appeared on Empress Hancock's face, and then she got up directly. My lord, your encouragement is the biggest motivation for me to make delicious food. I promise to present you a brand new dish tomorrow. I will go to the chef to learn first. The aloof Empress Hancock turned around and ran to the back kitchen with great interest. The back kitchen has always been a place that Hancock didn't bother to go to. However, during this siege period, the back kitchen has become Hancock's favorite area. Not long after, Stussy came to the deck with some helplessness. My lord, the food reserves on our ship are not enough. Advertisement. I'm afraid we need to plan ahead. Luo Qiye on the recliner slowly climbed up, put the sunglasses on top of his head, and frowned slightly. Didn't you already have all the ingredients you needed when you came here? How could it be used up so quickly? Before deciding to leave, everyone had already made corresponding purchases in the Lily Kingdom. The voyage time this time is destined to be very long. Logically speaking, it is impossible for the corresponding ingredients to be used up so quickly. A look of helplessness appeared on Stussy's face, and he said, My lord, I'm afraid we'll have to ask Hancock about this. That guy Hancock has been obsessed with cooking lately. She took out the most precious parts of a large number of fruits and high-end ingredients, and kept cooking experiments. My lord, can you imagine? The pulp used in each meatball Hancock made for your lord needs to extract the best BS from at least 100 apples. When Luo Qiye heard this, a look of astonishment flashed across Luo Qiye's face, and then he couldn't help laughing. Interesting, really interesting. On the other side, on the vast sea, Thousand Sunny fell into an extremely embarrassing situation. After planning the corresponding route in advance, Nami began to sleep in the cabin. Before entering the water, Nami had already handed over the sailing route and direction to Luffy and others. However, when Nami woke up, he found that their time had already deviated. With an angry look on Nami's face, he shouted, Do you know, even I, an experienced navigator, can't judge where we are now. You goddamn guys, is fishing that much of a fascination? And Luffy and the others in front of them counted one by one, all of them shook their heads, and their faces were full of helplessness. Nami kept pacing back and forth like an old lady, stretched out a finger, and kept cursing. Spittle Shingzi was crazily washing the faces of Luffy and the others. Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, the 3 became the key output targets. Chopper, who has always been a mascot, will naturally not be criticized, but at this moment he is still standing aside trembling. During this period of time, Sanji has been obsessed with making delicious food, and he doesn't care about things like sailing. Advertisement. 169. The Straw Hat Pirates. It's a pity you met me. 5/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Robin, on the other hand, covered his mouth and snickered, looking at the crowd below, feeling very amused in his heart. After scolding enough, Nami turned his head and said loudly, Sanji, listen up, in the next time, every meal of these 3 guys will eat fish. And only one kind of fish can be eaten, and the cooking method of each kind of fish must be the same. And it has to be cooked, it's very unpalatable. On the side, Sanji showed a look of helplessness on his face. Even if he tries his best to release water, it is impossible to make the kind of unpalatable food that Nami said. However, seeing Nami's angry face, Sanji hastily and loudly agreed. At this moment, a huge shadow appeared in the distant direction. Frankie, who was letting the wind out, started to scream in an instant. There is a position ahead, a ship appears, pay attention to vigilance. Swish swish. The Straw Hat Pirates, who were playing around, quickly took their positions. Nami stood at the helm, and Frankie went directly into the cabin, ready to launch Thousand Sunny's special power. Luffy and the others all stood in all directions of Thousand Sunny, ready to directly defend against the coming attack. At the same time, on the deck of the 9 Snake Pirates, Fujitora and others have already discovered the Straw Hat Pirates. My lord, it's the Straw Hat Luffy gang, do you need me to act directly? Fujitora's deep voice began to echo, and the sword in his hand was ready to try. The same is true for Stussy and Momoshiki on the side. God knows how much depression they have been holding back in their hearts during this period of time, looking tired of Hancock and Luo Qiye every day. Luo Qiye immediately waved his hand. Are you kidding me? We're a member of the Red Hair Pirates. Shanks and Luffy are friends for a long time. If I kill Luffy directly, I'm afraid I won't be able to explain to Shanks. Fujitora joined the ranks of pirates as Luo Qiye's crew member. But because of some past experiences, Fujitora basically doesn't have much affection for pirates. And Straw Hat Luffy, as one of the 11 supernovas, Tiger naturally began to reject everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates. Advertisement. Hehe, they actually came towards us. It seems that the brilliance of the Sun God has successfully guided the way forward for the confused believers. Luo Qiye stood quietly on the deck, pretending to be aloof, looking at the Straw Hat Pirates who had come to them. Thousand Sunny is moored next to the Kuja Pirates. Straw Hat Luffy and the others made contact without hesitation after they had judged the identity of the 9 snake pirates at the first time. First off, Straw Hat Luffy is not at all intimidated by Hancock's so-called Shichibukai identity. Straw Hat Luffy originally wanted to ask the direction directly, but unexpectedly, after approaching, he happened to find Luo Qiye on the deck, and heard what he said. Ha ha ha, the glory of the Sun God. Luo Qiye, do you guys regard us as your followers? You guys are really as interesting as the rumors say. Straw Hat Luffy couldn't help laughing out loud as soon as they met. Luo Qiye raised his brows slightly, but he didn't feel any irony from Luffy's loud laughter, otherwise, the magic knife Thousand Blades would have appeared long ago. Stussy on the side looked at Luffy who was laughing endlessly in front of him, and frowned slightly. You guy, you'd better pay attention to what you say. Also, if there is nothing else, just leave as soon as possible. Knowing the relationship between the red-haired Shanks and Luffy, Stussy has tried to keep her tone as nice as possible. But everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates still sensed strong malice. Zoro's expression changed immediately, and he directly drew the long sword in his hand. Half of third-generation Onitsu's blade is black, with a bright cold light shining. In Zoro's body, the fighting spirit suddenly vacated. The Fujitora on the side frowned slightly. At this time, Luffy started laughing again, and said, Zoro, did you notice it too? Luo Qiye is indeed as powerful as the rumors say. Zoro ignored it, and Luffy, who was nonsensical, stared at Luo Qiye in front of him. Luo Qiye, after that battle, everyone thought you were enough to be called the #1 swordsman of our time. Therefore, I am here to ask for a fight. Asking for flowers. Advertisement. Zoro's eyes were full of bright light. He wanted to use this battle to make Luo Qiye, Fujitora and others around him face their Straw Hat Pirates. He even wanted to go through this battle and sharpen his swordsmanship. Luo Qiye's face Jonin couldn't help showing a smile, carefully looking at Zoro in front of him, feeling the powerful fighting spirit on Zoro. A very good swordsman met me. Remember, you only have one shot. Out of respect for you, on the basis of saving your life, I will try my best to let you understand the brilliance of the sword world. Clang. Luo Qiye directly drew out the magic knife Thousand Blades. The sword body of the magic knife with thousands of blades trembled slightly, and a sharp sword intent immediately spread to the surroundings. The members of the Straw Hat Pirates standing aside even sensed the sharp breath in the air for a moment. A solemn look flashed in Zoro's eyes, and the initial suspicion towards Luo Qiye completely disappeared. Although most of the rumors are not credible, but just meeting Luo Qiye, Zoro firmly believes in his heart that Luo Qiye is definitely one of the top swordsmen at that time. Is there only one shot? Zoro licked his lips slightly, and the muscles all over his body began to tense slowly. One sword style, lion singing song. Zoro tightly held the third-generation Onitaru in his hand, and directly used the strongest experience that one sword style could produce. A bright sword light suddenly appeared, and Zoro's figure turned into an afterimage, jumping towards Luo Qiye. The decks of the 9 snake pirates ships are larger and more suitable for combat. The bright sword light was like a thunderbolt, cutting directly towards Luo Qiye. A good kendo seedling. It's a pity you met me. Luo Qiye didn't even use the magic knife Thousand Blades in his hand, but directly used the infinite sword system to quickly copy the sword exhibited by Zoro. Buzz, buzz. In an instant, a violent buzzing sound began to resound throughout the audience. Fujitora was suddenly shocked to find that the sword in his hand began to shake violently, and he even wanted to fly into the air uncontrollably. Advertisement. 170. Zoro, defeat. Can't hold the sword in my hand. 1/5 full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Has your lord started again? Fujitora looked at the back of Luo Qiye in front of him, a look of shock flashed across his face. At the same time, a 100-foot sword light directly appeared in midair, intercepting Zoro's only way. Clang. Beizong Jiangguang directly connected with third-generation Gui Chixiang. A violent sound of metal collision appeared. The sword light is bright and catches people's sight. Then, the bright sword light slowly disappeared. In the eyes of everyone, Zoro stood nervously on the spot. And the third-generation Gush in his hand had come out and stuck on the splint, and even the whole blade was shaking slightly. Zoro's face was full of astonishment, and he couldn't believe what happened just now. My sword. Can't I even hold the sword in my hand? 010. Zoro raised his head slowly, his eyes filled with pain. In Zoro's mind, he remembered the scene of his decisive battle with Hawkeye. He once swore in front of Hawkeye that he would never fail again. However, when facing Luo Qiye, he once again tasted the long-lost defeat. Luo Qiye frowned slightly, and said, "Isn't it just a failure? How many people can stand firm when facing me? I'm afraid you are one of the few people who can still exist intact after fighting me. After this battle, it will be the glory of your life." Luo Qiye's voice echoed powerfully in the field. Zoro raised his head slowly, and soon a bitter look appeared on his face. Zoro understood the strength gap between him and Luo Qiye right away, but the pride of being a swordsman made him unable to bow his head to anyone at all. Luo Qiye didn't care about it at all, and went straight to it. Advertisement. Zoro is at best a potential swordsman. But no matter what kind of swordsman he is, how dare he swing his sword so easily in front of Luo Qiye. And at this time, on Thousand Sunny's deck, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates was completely stunned. Nami couldn't help but muttered. Even Zoro has failed. Zoro can't even hold the sword in his hand. Sanji's face was extremely serious. I'm afraid it will take a long time for this guy, Chlorla, to get out of this setback. Sanji and Zoro usually don't understand each other, but their revolutionary friendship has long been thoroughly established. Only between men can they fully understand each other's paths. Luffy on the side also had a shocked look on his face, and then he couldn't help laughing. Ha ha ha, Luo Qiye, it seems that the rumors about you should be true. Your strength is really terrifying. Zoro, come back soon, the experience of this battle should be very valuable to you. Hearing Luffy's words, Zoro woke up suddenly, then bowed slightly to Luo Qiye in front of him, turned and left without saying a word. Luo Qiye nodded slightly, looked at the back in front of him, and said, "Young man, my way of the sword is very lonely, you have great potential, I will wait for you at the end of the way of the sword." Being able to make the proud Zoro bow his head directly, Luo Qiye will naturally show his corresponding approval. For a great swordsman, bending over means being completely convinced. During this battle, Zoro thoroughly felt the strength gap between him and Luo Qiye, and there was no shame in bending over. But at this time, Luo Qiye's words spread, not only did Zoro not have any frustration in his heart, but a more majestic desire to fight was born. Perceiving all this, Luo Qiye showed a subtle smile on his face. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a very good impression of Zoro, it would be impossible for Luo Qiye to do this extravagantly, and it would be impossible for him to show any mercy in the battle. If he showed mercy to everyone who challenged him, Luo Qiye would be overwhelmed. The cruelty to the enemy is the cruelty to oneself. Empress Hancock clasped her left and right hands tightly together and placed them between the two mountain peaks, looking at Luo Qiye with tenderness in her eyes. This is Lord Luo Qiye, the strongest existence in the world. Advertisement. Empress Hancock Meowman's body even began to tremble unconsciously. Every movement of Luo Qiye began to be deeply reflected in the depths of her heart. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for successfully pretending to be aggressive and get 68,888 points of acting aggressive. Close black lens bracket. Luo Qiye standing on the deck was completely stunned. Just defeating a Zoro, can you get so many pretense points? Although Zoro has great potential, he hasn't grown up yet. Bartholomew Kuma had already been picked up by the Revolutionary Army, so Zoro didn't have the chance to study again. At this time, Zoro's growth progress is slower than in the original book. A possibility suddenly appeared in Luo Qiye's mind. Damn it, it seems that the uncle still has to play. Hearing this, Zoro just glanced at 3.6 slightly, and then, the third-generation ghost in the hands of the pillow came to the lawn on the third floor of Thousand Sunny and began to sit quietly. Maybe that guy Zoro failed just now because he was too useless. Is this the benefit brought by the son of world luck? Luo Qiye, I want to try too, how strong are you? From this point of view, I may be handed over to these guys from the Straw Hat Pirates. Luo Qiye suddenly realized that all the members of the Straw Hat Pirates, one counts as one, and all of them can be regarded as the children of luck in the world. Green algae head, isn't it just a failure? As for turning into such a limp look. Therefore, the combat effectiveness that Zoro can display now is even lower. Normally, as soon as the three words Chlorla head appeared, Zoro would definitely become lively immediately and start a scolding war with Sanji. Swish. However, this time, Zoro naturally ignored the words Chlorla head. Seeing that Zoro didn't respond, the look on Sanji's face became even uglier. And at this time, on Thousand Sunny's deck, looking at the dull Zoro, Sanji had a long and thin cigarette in his mouth, and his expression gradually became unkind. Otherwise, how could the members of the Straw Hat Pirates survive unscathed after experiencing enemies that were impossible to stop? Sanji jumped up directly and came to the deck of the Nine Snake Pirates. Sanji was wearing a black suit, his yellow hair was swaying gently in the breeze, and he still had a slender cigarette in his mouth. Advertisement. 171. Chef's dignity is worthless. 2/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Luo Qiye, who was about to leave, turned his head and looked at Sanji in front of him calmly. I advise you not to shoot easily, you are not my opponent. And to be honest, you really don't have the qualifications to fight me. Sanji is not Zoro, the window God opened for him is above cooking, not fighting. Luo Qiye himself didn't actually have any idea of wanting to fight Sanji. Fighting with a cook is a bit unpleasant to say. However, Sanji stared closely at Luo Qiye in front of him, and said directly, "You are scared." Luo Qiye's expression froze slightly, and a smile appeared on Jonan's face. "Afraid. I, Luo Qiye, don't have the word fear at all in my life dictionary. Since you want to fight, I will give you this chance." Luo Qiye turned his head, just in time to see Luffy with an anxious look on his face. Even Zoro couldn't hold a move in front of Luo Qiye, let alone Sanji. Luffy naturally has a corresponding understanding of the strength of his own crew of 24. Luo Qiye said calmly, "Luffy, don't panic, I won't hurt his sexual interests." And at this time, Sanji's face was full of fury. "What an arrogant fellow, do you really think I'm just a cook? Today I will let you understand that chefs also have dignity." Sanji's right foot stepped down on the deck, and then, his whole body suddenly flew into the air. Special skill, burn. Sanji's body directly came to the midair above Luo Qiye's body, and then the whole body began to spin rapidly. Under the rapid rotation, Sanji's body seemed to become a sharp cone, stabbing directly at Luo Qiye below. Once Sanji's opponent is unable to resist, then Sanji's body will directly penetrate the opponent's body like a spike. It has to be said that this move is definitely the most powerful attack that Sanji can show in a hurry. However, Luo Qiye's expression didn't even change in the slightest. This speed is really too slow. Advertisement. Swish. An afterimage flashed, and Sanji's legs fell downward. Boom. A loud noise appeared, and a pothole appeared at the position of the deck. However, at this moment, Sanji's face was full of astonishment. He found that his attack target had suddenly disappeared. What's going on here? Where did that guy go? Sanji raised his head blankly, and the next moment, the hairs on his back exploded. Sanji could clearly perceive that there seemed to be a man-eating beast standing behind his body. And this ferocious beast is about to launch an attack directly in the next moment. The surface of Sanji's body was instantly covered with sweat, and a feeling of ultimate fear began to appear deep in his heart. Boom. At this moment, Luo Qiye appeared behind Sanji, with a large amount of jet black armament haki attached to the surface of his right hand, and slowly stretched out a finger. Finger pistol. Luo Qiye deliberately stretched out the middle finger of his right hand, and gently poked Sanji in front of him. Stamp. Sanji's body stiffened suddenly, and Luo Qiye's index finger went straight into Sanji's chest. Of course, Luo Qiye tried his best to avoid touching all of Sanji's organs, so this injury is not important to Sanji at all. However, Sanji's face turned pale in an instant. Luo Qiye withdrew his finger casually, then waved his hand directly, and said, "It's no fun at all." During this battle, Luo Qiye only used one finger, and even the warm-up activities were not over. At this time, Sanji's body fell limply on the ground. This was not because he was seriously injured, but because he was almost terrified in an instant. Sanji. Luffy couldn't hold back any longer, let out a shout, stretched his arms suddenly, grabbed Sanji directly, and dragged him back to Thousand Sunny. Chopper quickly approached Sanji with his small medicine box, his face full of eagerness. Advertisement. "Sanji, wake up, how are you feeling now?" With a stethoscope in his hand, Chopper is constantly checking Sanji's injuries. After a while, Chopper put down his stethoscope with a face full of astonishment, and looked at the people around him. Nami directly grabbed Chopper's right arm, and said hastily, "Chopper, how is Sanji? How did he suddenly look like this? Is he seriously injured?" Even Zoro came directly to Sanji's side, his eyes full of eagerness, and once again tightly grasped the long sword at his waist, wishing he could step directly into the battlefield again. Seeing this, Chopper hurriedly said, No, Sanji has no problem, she is doing very well now." After the successive defeats of Zoro and Sanji, the smile on Luffy's face gradually disappeared, and his expression began to become firm. The moment Luo Qiye struck, he deliberately avoided all angles that could make Sanji seriously injured. Open black lens bracket ding, close black lens bracket. So, Luo Qiye had already anticipated Sanji's every move when the battle started. "I seem to have found a goal that I can continue to pursue." On the Thousand Sunny deck, the look in Zoro's eyes became more serious, and he had a clearer understanding of Luo Qiye's strength. Has this guy already understood all of Sanji's moves? A monster that can predict the opponent's fighting moves before the battle. Chopper began to review the scene during the battle just now, and finally came to a conclusion. Luo Qiye's depression caused by the battle just now improved a lot. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have succeeded in pretending to be aggressive, and you have obtained 67,777 pretending points. Close black lens bracket. Let's put water in the dark. It seems that everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates has a lot of pretense, waiting for me. At this moment, Sanji just had a small hole in his body, and his internal organs and bones were completely unharmed. Zoro tightly held the handle of third-generation Onitsu's knife, and a longing for ultimate arose deep in his heart. How on earth did Luo Qiye predict Sanji's every move? So, what Luo Qiye said is true, and even more insignificant in front of them. Luo Qiye was already accustomed to the large amount of pretentiousness gained in this wave, and secretly began to mutter in his heart. In everyone's minds, the battle just now appeared for the first time. 327 Luo Qiye dodged the figure for the first time, and Jonin couldn't help showing a look of horror on his face. Advertisement. 172. Luffy, today you are only worthy of one finger of mine. 3/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Luo Qiye, It seems that the battle between you and me is inevitable. We Straw Hat Pirates never admit defeat before the battle begins. Among the Straw Hat Pirates, apart from Luffy, Zoro and Sanji are definitely the two most powerful. And both of them have failed. Of course Luffy has to stand up directly. He is the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, and he is absolutely duty-bound for the battle in front of him. A look of expectation soon appeared on Luo Qiye's face. Luffy may be the only child of luck in this world. Perhaps the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates survived only because they were by Luffy's side and truly became Luffy's partners. Straw Hat Luffy, I've already heard your name from Shanks. I've been looking forward to you for a long time. Take out your strongest strength. Swish. Luffy's arms stretched out suddenly, directly grabbing the deck railing of the 9 snake pirates. Then, using the elasticity of both arms, he quickly moved his body in front of Luo Qiye. Luffy's eyes were full of fighting desire. Luo Qiye, so you have already heard my name from the red-haired guy. But Shanks and I haven't seen each other for a long time. In that guy's impression, I should still be a child. I hope that after today's battle, you can tell him everything. I didn't disgrace him. Luffy directly bit the right thumb, and began to blow air into the body through the bone gap of the thumb frantically. Puff. A large amount of gas directly entered Luffy's body, and then, Luffy's right arm quickly began to expand. In the end, Luffy's right arm swelled hundreds of times, reaching a length of more than 30 meters and a width of 5 meters. Rubber giant pistol. In the first place, Luffy chooses to launch her own most confident and best understood fighting style. Whizzing. The sound of piercing through the air kept ringing, and Luffy's fist completely covered the space in front of Luo Qiye, trying to block all the routes Luo Qiye was advancing. A smile appeared on Luo Qiye's face. Do you want to compete with me in terms of physical strength? Advertisement. Young man, you are thinking too much. Swish. Luo Qiye's body suddenly rushed forward. I can easily defeat you with just one hand. Luo Qiye swung his right fist forward suddenly. Boom. The air in front was compressed a lot, and Luo Qiye's right fist seemed to turn into a huge air cannonball in a short time. There was a loud whistling sound, and Luo Qiye's right fist directly touched Luffy's fist. Hum. A huge force was transmitted forward directly from the intersection point of the two fists. Luffy's expression changed suddenly. Boom. After inflating hundreds of times, the fist stopped immediately, and under the action of huge force, Luffy's body was forced to fly backwards. Finally, with a loud noise, Luffy's body directly hit the railing. Fortunately, at the last moment, Luffy directly stretched his legs and hooked an obstacle above the deck, otherwise his body would have fallen directly into the sea. Luo Qiye shook his head slightly. I've tried my best to restrain my strength. I didn't expect that your strength is so small. A look of astonishment appeared on Luffy's face. What? Do you think I'm still weak in third gear? You guys, what a monster. So how about trying this trick? After being easily defeated, Luffy didn't feel any discomfort in his heart, and the desire to fight in his heart became stronger instead. He could clearly perceive that Luo Qiye was different from any enemy he had encountered before. When Luo Qiye faced him, he didn't have any murderous intentions, as if he was a very competent sparring partner. Of course, after Luo Qiye confirmed that among the Straw Hat Pirates, Sanji and Zoro can also be turned into extractors of pretentious points, the attitude towards Luffy will naturally become better. After all, Luffy is the real son of luck, a real treasure trove of pretense. Qiye had already gone through hundreds of ways to make a fool of himself in a flash. Luffy's right leg jerked upwards. Rubber giant tomahawk. The moment the leg was lifted, Luffy's right leg began to expand rapidly, and in the end, it also expanded hundreds of times. Looking from a distance, the width of Luffy's right leg has exceeded 5 meters. The huge impact force produced by this move is stronger than the officer's pistol just now. Advertisement. Luo Qiye, I'm coming. A sharp look flashed in Luffy's eyes, and then he swung his right leg downward suddenly. Hum. The violent whistling sound began to echo continuously in the field. There was a look of anticipation in Luffy's eyes. This move should be able to form a corresponding obstacle to him. On the Thousand Sunny deck, the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates were also looking forward to the scene in front of them. Luffy has already taken out the third gear, and he should be able to beat Luo Qiye. Even if you can't defeat him successfully, you should be able to repel him successfully. I don't believe that Luffy's full strength can't make Luo Qiye take a step back. Sanji and Zoro are also paying attention to the battle in front of them. The same goes for everyone in the 9 snake pirates. On the side, Hancock's eyes were shining brightly, and his mouth was constantly muttering. Master Qiye must be the strongest. What is the Straw Hat Luffy? On the deck, Luo Qiye looked up at the huge rubber wares that were constantly falling above, with a smile on his face that never faded. Liao Nuo's pure physical skills. Luffy, don't you understand the physical gap between the two of us? Swish. Luo Qiye's figure flashed, and he soared into the air. What is the true meaning of the fist? It is hard. As long as the fist is hard enough, everything can be crushed. It's a pity, today you are only worthy of one finger of mine. Luo Qiye stretched out the index finger of his right hand this time. Thick armament haki covers directly above it. Luo Qiye's right index finger gently clicked upwards. Boom. Luffy's huge rubber tomahawk fell directly downwards, however, it finally stopped in midair. Everyone looked up and saw Luo Qiye blocking Luffy's right leg with a finger. What? How is this possible? Only one finger. False. All of this must be false. Advertisement. 173. Like a toy. Negligible. 4/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. On the Thousand Sunny deck, Robin and the others were completely dumbfounded. Luo Qiye directly blocked Luffy's third gear rubber battle axe with one finger. Even Luffy was a little dazed at the moment. There was still a hint of indifference on Luo Qiye's face. The physique of the sun god is beyond your imagination. My physique is the best in the world, at the top of the page. Luo Qiye swung his right hand violently, clenched his fist with his right hand, and pushed forward. Rich energy fluctuations immediately poured forward. Booming sounds resounded in the air, and under Luo Qiye's push, a large amount of air was continuously compressed. The people below looked and could clearly see a huge white light wave appearing in the midair. A large amount of air was directly crushed to death, and a cyclone even appeared directly in the field. Boom. Originally inflated hundreds of times, his right foot completely retracted in an instant, and a large amount of gas continuously gushed out from his waist. Luffy, who entered the third gear, was directly punched by Luo Qiye and returned to the reduced version. It looks more like a toy. Luo Qiye shook his head slightly, and then gently pointed out 170 fingers. And at this time, Luffy, who was supposed to be shrunk because he was not very proficient in using the third gear, directly changed back to the original one under Luo Qiye's little guidance. Boom. With a soft sound, Luffy looked at his body blankly, and then a look of excitement appeared on his face. I didn't shrink directly, what the hell is going on? Luo Qiye, you must have helped me just now, right? Although he was directly defeated, Luffy was not only not angry, but was extremely excited. He recognized this interesting Luo Qiye from the bottom of his heart. Luo Qiye said calmly, I just did a trivial thing. Besides, I like you who is weak like a toy more than you who are shrunken. The face of the always cheerful Luffy became a little stiff, and everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates was even more so. Advertisement. Like a toy, weak as a toy. Zoro and Sanji looked at each other, and both saw the helplessness and powerlessness in each other's eyes. After the decisive battle just now, they, Seeb, have no hope of defeating Luo Qiye. The strength gap between the two is not something they can easily narrow. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host for successfully pretending to be aggressive, and obtained 68,888 pretending points. Close black lens bracket. Hiss. Luo Qiye's eyes soon lit up. Originally, he could of course ignore Luffy completely, but seeing the child of luck directly delivered to his door, how could he ignore it? Bai Wawa's pretentiousness just fell into her arms directly. But at this time, Hancock on the side has completely fallen, and the eyes looking at Luo Qiye are full of peach heart-shaped light waves. My lord's strength is really too strong. Only such a strong man can be worthy of me. If you're younger, what's the point? Old lady, I can afford to wait. Seeing that the battle was over, Hancock hurriedly picked up the fruit plate that had been prepared a long time ago, and immediately moved to Luo Qiye's side. My lord, this is a special grape. This is the only one that is partially condensed from the essence I extracted from 100 bunches of grape juice. Hancock's fingers illuminated brightly under the sunlight, and his eyes stared closely at Luo Qiye. His face became a little flushed. At this time, Luo Qiye ate the grape with a calm expression, and nodded slightly. Hancock, your cooking skills seem to be improving again. After being encouraged, Hancock immediately became more excited. Your Excellency, you really have the discerning eye. I will definitely devote myself to studying cooking skills, but the current supplies seem to be a bit insufficient. But it doesn't matter, my lord, I have sent the crew to go around to replenish supplies. Because Luo Qiye is not in a hurry, so now it is said that the ships of the pirate group are advancing slowly. Therefore, this sea area here is also a very familiar place for them. The lack of material is not a big deal for everyone in the Nine Snake Pirates. From the corner of Luo Qiye's eyes, he noticed Luffy beside him. Advertisement. Luffy looked at Hancock's eyes without any strange emotion. And Hancock is completely in love with Luo Qiye at the moment. It's such a cool feeling to cut off the beard. Jonin couldn't help showing a smile on Luo Qiye's face, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Seeing this scene, Jonin couldn't help showing a blush on Hancock's face. Originally, Hancock would be completely obsessed with Luffy's sudden arrival, but at this time, Hancock's heart has been completely tied to Luo Qiye. Luo Qiye waved his hand slightly and said, okay, if there is nothing else, you can leave, we are not all the way. Luo Qiye has already brushed up the pretentious point from the 3 members of the Straw Hat Pirates. According to past experience, it is very difficult to get equipment points from Luffy and others in a short time. Unless Luffy and others continue to follow the trajectory of life and strengthen their own strength. Therefore, Luo Qiye will definitely not easily change their life trajectory, and will only quietly watch them become stronger in the sea, and then attack directly at the right time. Luo Qiye, why don't we sworn brothers, whoever wins will be the big brother. There was a bright light in Luffy's eyes, and with a flash, he came to the deck of the Nine Snakes pirate ship. It doesn't feel abrupt for Luffy to say such words. Because at a very young age, this guy has successfully sworn Ace and Sabo. Therefore, the factor of sworn brotherhood may have penetrated into his heart long ago. At this time, the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates were all looking at the scene in front of them expectantly. Once Luffy and Luo Qiye are successfully married, it means that their Straw Hat Pirates have a very thick thigh. You must win. Luffy, hurry up and say a few more words. The future of our Straw Hat Pirates depends on you. If we can act in the name of Luo Qiye above the sea in the future, there should not be many people who would dare to provoke us. On the other side, Fujitora and Momoshiki frowned slightly. Once Luffy and Luo Qiye successfully become sworn brothers, doesn't this mean that the relationship between them and Luffy has undergone a fundamental change? But, how could Luo Qiye agree? Advertisement. 174. I, alone, am a mighty army. 5/5. Ask for full order. Advertisement. Relying on this point alone, it is impossible for them to attack everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates at will again. After all, Luo Qiye's face is there. Luo Qiye turned his head slightly, with a look of coldness on his face. Sworn worship, what good does sworn worship do to me? Maybe you will still be attractive to me in the future, but forget it now. Luo Qiye never had such an idea. Although Luffy is the son of luck, those who gather around him are blessed by luck. But with the system in his body, Luo Qiye is not afraid of anyone in this world. After being rejected, Luffy didn't take it seriously at all, and continued to laugh and said, as long as you and I become sworn brothers, then everyone in our Straw Hat Pirates will become your steadfast supporter. Ally. All of us Straw Hat Pirates together, isn't it worth it? You have offended many people before, presumably there will be more people against you in the future. Our Straw Hat Pirates can become the first line of defense for your nuclear peace team, intercepting many invading enemies. It has to be said that everything Luffy suffered is of course correct, and the Straw Hat Pirates do have such qualifications. Under the protection of luck, there are definitely not many people who can directly overthrow the Straw Hat Pirates. Everyone is waiting for Luo Qiye's answer. Luo Qiye stood on the deck, the breeze was blowing slowly, and the robe behind him was gently swaying. What makes you think I'm afraid of trouble? Anyone who dares to stop me in front will become a corpse. I alone have thousands of troops and horses, and it is enough to travel the world. As soon as the words fell, everyone in the audience immediately fell silent. As one person worth 1,000 troops. On the 1,000 sunny deck, Robin looked at the back of Luo Qiye in front, his eyes full of strange expressions. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates thought of Luo Qiye's achievements in the sea at the same time, and no one thought that Luo Qiye was telling lies. On the other side, Fujitora and others have already gotten used to it. Luo Qiye has already proved what he said is true. The 4 Emperor's pirate groups have all been suppressed. Except for Luo Qiye, who else can do all this? Advertisement. Even Vice Admiral, known as Marine the Resourceful General, was also forced to let e. At this moment, Luffy started to laugh out loud, and the hearty laughter echoed in the field. Luo Qiye, you guys are really interesting. No wonder a guy like you is Shank's buddy. After a little hesitation, Luo Qiye waved his hand and said, Luffy, and the guys from the Straw Hat Pirates, it's fate to meet each other, let's stay together for a little while. Luo Qiye rejected Luffy many times. In order to avoid the backlash of Luffy's luck, he finally decided to hold 10 grand banquets to entertain everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates. To some extent, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates are naked foodies. In the absence of principled conflicts, as long as their stomachs can be satisfied, the conflict between the two parties can be completely resolved. Of course Luffy agreed. Under Stussy's arrangement, people like the Straw Hat Pirates, Luo Qiye and others held a grand banquet directly on the deck. A large number of fine wines and delicacies were brought out directly. All these materials belonged to the 9 snake pirates, and the rest had just plundered them back. Floating on the sea, the fastest way to get supplies is to snatch other ships. However, there are very few opportunities for corresponding replenishment at fixed supply points. The sea is where a man eats a man. Boom. Luo Qiye raised his wine glass and lightly touched the wine glass in Luffy's hand. Luo Qiye, you be asterisk 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 d, how did you become so strong? You must know that you are only 10 years old this year. After entering the slightly drunk state, the atmosphere on the deck became more harmonious. Even Sanji and Zoro, who were directly defeated, cast their eyes over with extreme curiosity. In today's battle, the two of them were convinced that they lost. Although there was a gap in my heart, but now, under the hospitality of this banquet, some small conflicts and small gaps have already completely disappeared. Sanji is a guy who cooks directly, using his own unique cooking skills to completely conquer everyone present. Even Luo Qiye was full of praise for Sanji's cooking skills. Advertisement. Luo Qiye said without hesitation, time is on my side. Usopp was stunned suddenly, and said, Luo Qiye, do you mean that 10 years of cultivation is already a long time for you? Nami couldn't help but said, however, you can't start practicing the moment you come out of your mother's womb. How can anyone know how to cultivate from the first moment they open their eyes? Everyone present also looked at Luo Qiye in front of them with great curiosity. People including Fujito are also very curious about this issue. Luo Qiye, who was only 10 years old, suppressed the 4 Emperor's pirate groups forcefully. This is something that has not happened in the entire pirate world for thousands of years. Oh. Anyway, you don't like those Marines, so everyone just took this opportunity to join forces directly. Then, everyone looked at each other and started laughing. There was a burst of wild laughter on the entire deck. Luo Qiye, can you send us to the deep sea prison? In this laughter, there is not only relief, but also anticipation, and even more envy and jealousy. For him, the deep sea prison did not pose any challenges at all. Are you guys come with us and just make a scene right there? Sure enough, women will affect the speed at which I draw my sword. Luo Qiye said very naturally. In the dictionary of genius, there is no such three words as impossible. Luo Qiye frowned slightly, wanting to refuse directly. After getting drunk, Luffy suddenly turned his head. Luo Qiye's dantian was on fire, but he quickly remembered the price of 8 years of life, and forcibly suppressed his endless desires. Luo Qiye didn't take the deep-sea prison seriously at all. Everyone in the audience was dumbfounded. Luo Qiye turned his head and saw the softness in Hancock's eyes. Hancock looked at Luo Qiye in front of him, couldn't help shaking his body, and the hot stream of the sun began to flow continuously in her body. At this moment, Stussy on the side came over cautiously, and said, "My lord, we are not far from the deep-sea prison now." Advertisement. 175. Blackbeard Pirates. How can he compete with Hao Yu for glory? 1/5. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Hearing this, Luo Qiye nodded slightly. Luffy, we happen to be on the way. You are following the 9 snake pirates, and you will pass by the deep-sea prison. Now that it is not far away from the deep-sea prison, and it doesn't take long to reach the destination, Luo Qiye is naturally willing to make a favor. And at this time, the members of the Straw Hat Pirates, who were completely apprehensive because they were lost, began to cheer. Luffy and Zoro, who had been fishing all the time, gradually began to feel less guilty. On the vast sea, the members of the Blackbeard Pirates are sailing slowly. Their goal is also the deep-sea prison. Fan Oka, who was on guard, clenched the sniper rifle in his hand, with a look of expectation on his face. Everyone, guess who we met? Fan, 587. Oka stood up slowly, adjusted the sniper rifle in his hand, and said in a dull voice. Luo Qiye, that guy is not far from us. Everyone in the entire Blackbeard pirate group immediately became restless. Poison Q's eyes were full of complex expressions. What is the trajectory of fate on Luo Qiye? Is his fate curve connected to ours? Fighting champion Badgers took a deep breath, and the muscles on the surface of his body began to harden. Under the sunlight, Badger's muscles shone with bronze light. I've heard that this guy is very strong, just pass this opportunity, give it a try. Leave me the chance to fight Luo Qiye this time. Looking at the wrestling champion Badgers, whose eyes were full of longing, the devil sheriff Lafitte slightly shook his head. Badgers, there is nothing worthy of fame, don't underestimate Luo Qiye. Ha ha ha. Standing on the deck, Blackbeard burst into laughter. Everyone, don't be so tense, maybe Luo Qiye will become our partner. Shanks, that guy's style of acting is completely unsuitable for Luo Qiye. Blackbeard Teach's eyes flashed brightly with mine. He had long wanted to meet Luo Qiye for a while. Luo Qiye's impressive record made Blackbeard Teach salivate. Teach has never understood why the Red Hair Pirates, who have always acted safely and advocated peace, can retain Luo Qiye, a violent member of the nuclear peace team. Advertisement. Everyone in the 9 snake pirates was already in place. There was a cold look in Hancock's eyes. The bastards of the Blackbeard Pirates. They are unlucky to meet us. The Empress demeanor on Hancock's body was fully displayed, and he had already changed into a black battle robe at this moment. Fujitora and Momoshiki on the side have already entered the state of combat readiness. They simply do not take Blackbeard Teach lightly, an ultimate insidious and dangerous man. There was also a bright light in Luffy's eyes. Another new Shichibukai. I'd like to see what Blackbeard's true strength is. Luo Qiye was looking at the blue sea at the moment, and the mere Blackbeard pirates could not be taken seriously by him. How can the stars compete with the bright moon? The huge ship of the Whitebeard pirates stayed directly above the sea, waiting for the connection of the 9 snake pirates. When the distance between the two was 100 meters, Teach's laughter came directly. Woohaha, Luo Qiye, we finally meet. The Beasts Pirates and Big Mom Pirates have become your enemies, and they will definitely do everything possible to trouble you. The red-haired Shanks can't keep you at all, that guy will even give you up for peace. In Blackbeard Teach's eyes, there was a bright light. Come on, Luo Qiye, join our Blackbeard Pirates, let's change the whole world together. Blackbeard Teach's ambition was obvious, and under such circumstances, he didn't even bother to pretend what he really thought in his heart. During the experience of staying in the Whitebeard Pirates, he was always looking for opportunities to make himself rise. And now, the establishment of the Blackbeard Pirates is the beginning of a great plan for him. Luo Qiye turned his head slowly, and cast a slight glance at Blackbeard Teach. Stupid human, everything about you is so insignificant to me. Give up, your road to perdition is shorter than you can imagine. As soon as the words fell, the smile on Blackbeard Teach's face immediately became extremely stiff. Road to perdition, I didn't expect you to be so disrespectful to our Blackbeard Pirates. Advertisement. The smile on Blackbeard Teach's face couldn't hold back. And everyone in the Blackbeard Pirates was furious. Devil Sheriff Lafitte was the first to stand up, holding the scepter in his hand, and said in a cold voice. Luo Qiye, what a guy who doesn't know how to behave. I'd like to see how strong the so-called nuclear Ping Fan team is. Devil Fruit's power began to gather inside Lafitte's body, and purple light emerged above his body. Fighting champion Badgers also stood up, his muscles shaking constantly. Who will fight with me? My fists will crush all your pride. Puff. Sanji directly spit out the slender cigarette in his mouth, and said with a cold expression. What an arrogant fellow. Zoro will directly bite he 3.9 Dao Yizi in his mouth during the battle, which is a way to protect the famous sword to the maximum extent during the battle. Swish. Badger swung his right arm sharply, and his whole body approached Sanji at a tremendous speed. Seeing Luo Qiye turn around, the faces of the regional cadres of the Blackbeard pirates became extremely ugly. Sanji stood up directly and confronted Devil Sergeant Lafitte. We're having a party. There's nothing more excusable for a cook than to waste his work. Let me crush these lifeless ants before I come to you. Badger's huge body charged forward directly. Luo Qiye just cast a slight glance, then turned around completely, without any expectations for the next battle. Zoro's left hand directly pulled out the famous sword Chushui, with the word Hidao in his mouth. He already knew the level of strength of Sanji and Zoro, and he didn't have any expectations in his heart. Zoro at the side also pulled out the third-generation Goosh from his waist, and walked forward. Open black lens bracket, please make a full order, close black lens bracket. Swish. Swinging elbow. I have gained some understanding in the battle just now, so give me this fighting opportunity. Why? The Wadaichi text is the promised blade given to Zoro by Koshiro. Advertisement. 176. Your road to perdition is shorter than you imagined. 2/5 ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. A large number of shock waves ejected from the armor hole on the surface of the right arm. The strong fluctuations covered Sanji's body directly. Curl your eyebrows, your body will turn into powder under my shock wave. Badger's huge body is more than 3 times larger than the 3 of them in terms of volume. How can the reputation of a fighting champion be in vain? Sanji's expression became very dignified, and he felt the great pressure immediately. With so many people watching, how could I fail in the first place? 3 points. Swish swish. Sanji's body was constantly turning in midair, and his right foot was pointing forward. Because the speed was too fast, his right leg had completely turned into a phantom. Badger's throat, chest, and abdomen were the points of his attack. Bang, bang, bang. The crisp impact sounded continuously. Sanji and Badger's continued to fight with their physical fitness. In a short period of time, the two could not tell the winner at all. The battle between Zoro and Lafitte also entered a heated state immediately. Zoro took out the strongest 3-knife flow state at the first time. 3-sword style, demon slash. Zoro quickly crossed the 2 famous swords in his left and right hands, and finally sandwiched the Wadaichi character as a supplementary attack at any time. A purple phantom appeared directly behind Zoro. Swish. Zoro's body completely turned into an afterimage in an instant, and shot forward. Zoro's whole body seemed to have turned into a sword energy, aiming at Lafitte. A look of surprise flashed in Lafitte's eyes. Do the trash of the Straw Hat Pirates also have such strength? It seems that I still underestimate them. Lafitte flicked his right hand lightly, put the top hat on his head, and then swung his cane quickly, with a strange look on his face. Clang. While waving Lafitte's cane, it unexpectedly hit the long knife in Zoro's hand very precisely. The sound of crisp metal collisions echoed in the field. Advertisement. Hey, Zoro, this trick of yours seems to be a little tasteless. At this time, Lafitte even had time to make mocking remarks. Zoro's complexion suddenly fell, and the scene of being defeated by Luo Qiye just now appeared in his mind. Unforgivable. 3-sword style, tiger hunting. The 2 knives in Zoro's hands were directly attached to the back, and the third knife was stabbed straight to the front. Swish. Zoro's body leapt forward and grabbed Lafayette's head. A fun guy. There was a solemn look in Lafitte's eyes, and he also did not dare to underestimate Zoro in front of him. At this moment, the battlefield in the field unexpectedly fell into a stalemate in an instant. Seeing this scene, the expressions of everyone in the Blackbeard pirates changed slightly. Interrupted by some annoying guy. Looks like we need to get rid of these guys as soon as possible. Fan Oka directly pulled out the sniper rifle from his waist. Poison Q's eyes also began to glow with a strange green light. The battle here is not something you can easily intervene in. Fujitora's deep voice began to reverberate, and the stick knife in his hand was gently raised, and invisible fluctuations were constantly shaking on the surface of the stick knife. Momosuge also pulled out the long sword at his waist immediately, and stared at the people in front of him. The atmosphere in the field became extremely stiff in an instant. Everyone in the nuclear team has already made preparations for a direct shot. Many female warriors of the Lily Kingdom led by Empress Hancock took up their spears. Pairs of sharp eyes stared closely at the Blackbeard pirates in front of them. As long as Hancock gives an order, a big battle will break out in an instant. At this moment, a strange look flashed in Blackbeard's eyes, and then everyone present burst into laughter. Woo ha ha, Lafitte, Badgers, stop. Swish, swish. Hearing Blackbeard's words, Lafitte didn't hesitate at all, the scepter in his hand lightly clicked on Zoro's long knife. With the help of a huge counterattack, Lafitte's figure lightly landed on the deck of the Blackbeard pirates. Badger swung his right fist forward and hit Sanji's right foot. Boom. Advertisement. A huge impact came, and Badger's body also flew back upside down, standing on the deck of the Blackbeard pirates. Whoa, whoa. Badgers began to pant heavily, his chest like a fan. If you give me a little more time, I can directly crush this yellow-haired boy in front of me into pieces. Badger's face was full of unwillingness. He is a majestic fighting champion, how could he be defeated by a cook? Blackbeard Teach laughed and said, this is not a place for big fights, it's too close to Impel Down. Sooner or later we'll have a chance to fight them. Let's go first. It's important to complete the plan. With just a few words, Blackbeard Teach completely dispelled the excitement of the rest of the cadres. Blackbeard Teach has already formulated corresponding strict strategies for the development of their pirate group. In order to accomplish that goal, many cadres forcibly suppressed their inner anger. Blackbeard Teach waved his hands slightly, and said with a big smile, Luo Qiye, we will have a chance to meet again. The dark cannon barrels are ready to deal a devastating blow to any piece of sea at any time. A large number of Marines on the warships have already loaded their bullets and are ready to be thrown into the battlefield at any time. Nobody's going to be around Impel Down. Impel Down defensive position. There is an abnormal situation, wipe out all suspected enemies. As I said, your road to perdition is shorter than you can imagine. With that said, the Blackbeard pirates wanted to leave in disguise. Luo Qiye shook his head slightly, he had no interest in the Blackbeard pirates at all. Impel Down is too important for Marines, so every Marine stationed here is the elite among them. Those who run away should not put on the airs of their predecessors. Densely packed cannons protruded directly from the sides of the 5 warships. A total of 5 warships sailed directly towards this position. 390 Luo Qiye turned around slowly, his eyes were full of deepness. The guns are in place. Fighting movement of fighting champion badgers and others has already attracted Marines' attention. On the other side, just after Luo Qiye's voice fell, the situation in the field suddenly changed. At this moment, Blackbeard Teach's plan has just started, and the strength he possesses is completely meaningless to Luo Qiye. Then the dull voice continued to sound. Advertisement. 177. Shock the audience. Completely stunned. 3/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The expression on Blackbeard Teach's face became very ugly in an instant. Is this the same thing again? The fate of our Blackbeard pirates is not something you can easily decide. Luo Qiye, it seems that my preferential treatment for you has made you a little confused about the situation. Do you really think it's weak? Swish. Blackbeard Teach directly pulled out the long knife at his waist, and swung it forward suddenly. Rich energy began to gather in the long knife, and then, a 10-meter-long sword energy cut forward. Luo Qiye frowned slightly, and slowly raised his right hand, preparing for a boring fight. At this moment, Luffy on the side yelled, Luo Qiye, you give this guy to me. I've wanted to try this guy for a long time. Luffy, who had just entered a slightly drunken state, looked crazy at the moment, and his arms stretched out suddenly. Rubber machine gun. Da da da. Luffy's fists kept waving in the field, and there were even clear phantoms in front of him. The 10-meter-long sword energy was shattered in an instant. However, the next moment, the figure of Blackbeard Teach came directly in front of Luffy like a wandering spirit. Boy, you are still far behind. Blackbeard Teach's right fist kept expanding in Luffy's eyes. Boom. Accompanied by a dull voice sounded. Blackbeard's fist hit Luffy directly in the chest. Then, Luffy's body flew back upside down as if encountering a broken sack. In the slightly drunk state, Luffy didn't even have time to directly enter the third gear state. His strongest fighting state has not been directly displayed, and he was directly defeated by Blackbeard Teach's subordinates. This situation happened not only because Luffy was a little drunk at the moment, but most importantly, Blackbeard had a lot of fighting experience. This guy knows very well that he is above the sea now, and he has already committed public anger. After all, no pirate would like a betrayer. Woo ha ha. Advertisement. Luo Qiye, let me personally measure your beauty. This group of guys who dared to provoke the majesty of the Blackbeard pirates will end here today. A large amount of black mist continuously appeared around Blackbeard's body. Blackbeard's body seems to hide endless space. The mist continued to spray around. Within a few seconds, many black mist directly covered the sea surface within 100 feet. Blackbeard's body wandered back and forth in the black mist. When everyone looked up, they could faintly see a huge body through the black mist. 2 red lights directly appeared in the black mist, and those were the eyes of Blackbeard Teach. Robin's face changed suddenly, and a look of horror appeared in his eyes. Is this the ability of dark fruit? What is this horrible black mist? How strong is this guy? Nami on the side tightly held the weather stick in his hand, his eyes were full of fear. How can Shichibukai be so strong? How the hell did he do it? Even Hancock, who was always very confident in Luo Qiye, changed slightly at this moment. This guy, is dark fruit so strong? Why does this guy look like a monster? As the black object used to hide his monster body. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates was also shocked. Chopper, who exists as a mascot, opened his eyes wide and murmured, is this the real Shichibukai's strength? Luffy just fought a monster like this. Zoro couldn't help but drew out the long knife at his waist, the blood in his body was flowing faster, and the desire to fight in his eyes couldn't be suppressed at all. Even Fujitora, who has always been extremely calm, sensed the huge momentum ahead through Observation Haki, and frowned slightly. Momosuke also felt the heavy pressure from it, the long sword in his hand was already tightly held by him, and he could directly launch a slash at any time. At this time, Luo Qiye's body moved forward slowly, scanning the crowd present, and said calmly. Everyone, now it's up to me to tell you that this battle is sure to win. Blood Demon Ultimate Way. World Destroyer. Advertisement. Luo Qiye clenched the magic knife Thousand Blades in his hand and slowly swung it forward. At this moment, the entire sea quickly began to shake. Then, a large amount of red breath began to be born in the field. Numerous red auras condensed into substance, completely turning the world into a blood-red world in everyone's sight. Boom, boom. The sea surface began to tremble continuously, and the entire sea water turned red in an instant. Buzz, buzz. Violent shaking began to appear continuously, and the temperature of the sea water began to rise crazily. What's going on here? What happened? Nami's complexion changed drastically, and he kept running around like a headless chicken. At this time, the rest of the people were completely dumbfounded. Luo Qiye's body has completely turned blood red, and the magic knife Chinblade in his hand seems to communicate with hell, and a large amount of red aura is crazily emerging from it. Buzz, buzz. The red aura seemed to have found its target, completely enveloping everyone in the Blackbeard pirates. Boom, boom. Not yet, waiting for any reaction from the Blackbeard pirates. A large amount of red breath began to be detonated crazily. The area where the Blackbeard pirates were located completely became the center of the explosion. A large number of roaring sounds spread to the surroundings, and the red breath was layered on top of each other, and then they were detonated layer by layer. Jiao hao jiao. A look of coldness appeared on Luo Qiye's face, and he shook his head slightly. Boom. The next moment, the red aura was superimposed on Ultimate, and the figures of the Blackbeard pirates were completely invisible. Accompanied by a violent roar, the entire surface of the sea was suddenly smashed into pieces. The rich red aura rises directly from the ground like a pillar of light reaching the sky. The red breath began to become more fiery, and finally turned completely orange-red. Orange-red beams of light shot up into the sky, and from a distance, the sky seemed to have been blown to pieces like a whole. The fiery temperature spreads continuously to the surroundings. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates stared at the huge orange-red beam of light in a daze. What the hell is this? Luffy was completely dumbfounded. Within his tentative distance at this moment, he could clearly feel that the surface of his skin was constantly being burned. Advertisement. 178. Instant kill Blackbeard. Terror spread. 4/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Although this burning is very weak, it is enough to break through his defense. At this moment, Zoro's eyes were covered with a strong fighting spirit. So, can the great swordsman be able to get to where he is now? I seem to have found my way forward. Usopp held a huge slingshot tightly in his hand, and Jonin couldn't help showing a look of anticipation on his face. In the future, will Luffy and the others also have this level of attack? Maybe I have a chance to go this far. Usopp is timid at heart, but he also yearns for great power. In the face of such a devastating attack, Usopp, who was often out of tune, became much calmer in an instant. In Luffy's eyes, there was a look of astonishment, and he carefully looked at the sky-reaching red beam of light in front of him. As this level of attack Luo Qiye's true strength. This guy is indeed worthy of suppressing the existence of the 4 Emperor's pirates. I'm afraid only such a scary guy can be Shanks' partner. Since stepping into the sea, Luffy has realized what kind of status the 4 Emperor's Shanks really are. Luffy also longs for that position, but what he hopes most is to become the real One Piece. After seeing Luo Qiye's true strength, Luffy's desire to become 337 One Piece became more urgent. At this moment, Sanji, who was wearing a black dress, dropped the slender cigarette in his mouth directly to the ground. Sanji's eyes were full of dull look. So, this guy Luo Qiye has already let us down in the previous battle. Otherwise, none of the 3 of us would be able to survive this level of attack. Sure enough, such a guy is fully qualified to join the Blackbeard pirates in Urumqi. Hancock looked at Luo Qiye in front of him, and then at the red beam of light in front of him. His body was trembling slightly. Hancock's eyes have completely turned into hearts, and he can't wait to throw himself into Luo Qiye's embrace. Advertisement. My lord, this concubine will never leave you in this life. The red dress on Hancock's body was shaking slowly, and it was somewhat similar to the red beam of light in front of him. Above the sea in the distance, many Marines who had just been dispatched were completely dumbfounded when they saw the sky-high red beam of light suddenly appearing in front of them. On the deck, a Marine Vice Admiral had a dull expression on his face. What the hell is this? A disaster from heaven. Did any undersea volcano erupt directly? But it's impossible. There are no such hidden dangers around Impel Down. The same is true for many elite Marines, who simply don't believe what they see. Although they are still far away from the center of the battle, they can clearly sense that the surrounding sea is heating up. Even the Marine warship has been damaged to varying degrees. The head of Marine Vice Admiral's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he even forgot the importance of continuing to order and let everyone get closer to the battle. At this time, everyone in the Blackbeard pirates had already completely fallen apart. Under the shroud of the red beam of light, the muscles on the surface of the fighting champion Badger's body bulged crazily, and even shivered constantly under the cover of the red light. No, how could I die here? I'm a majestic fighting champion. Boom. The red beam of light impacted upwards, and Badger's body was directly shrouded by the red beam of light. His thick body completely turned into a powder of flesh and blood and disappeared between the sky and the earth profusely. Fan Oka held a sniper rifle in his hand, but he couldn't see any enemies in his sight. The breath of red has completely become the main theme of Fan Oka's world. Why do we provoke such an enemy? If you give me another chance to start over, I will definitely stay away from this monster. A red beam of light rose into the sky, and Fan Oka's sniper rifle and his body evacuated and died at the first time, fused with each other. Fan Oka has completely achieved that the gun is there, and the gun is dead. Advertisement. Devil Sheriff Lafitte's face also became very ugly. Devil Fruit's energy is continuously accumulating inside her body, even forming waves of purple light that envelope his body. Damn it, our plan hasn't worked out yet, how can I die here? Luffy began to frantically wave the scepter in his hand. However, even so, the red beam of light directly penetrated his body. The devil sheriff who was about to shine in the future has completely disappeared from this world. Buzz, buzz. The orange-red beam of light that soared to the sky slowly disappeared, and the scorching sea once again appeared in everyone's sight. The ships of the Blackbeard pirates had already disappeared completely, leaving only the wreckage on the surface of the sea, which flowed into the distance with the waves. And at this time, at a position 300 meters away from the center of the explosion, a dilapidated piece of wood was swaying constantly on the sea surface with the waves. Blackbeard and Drug Q hugged the wood tightly and drifted into the distance powerlessly. At this moment, the surface of Blackbeard's body is in tatters, and a large amount of black mist is constantly spreading from his body to the outside world. The same is true for the poisonous Q at the side, the originally stooped body has become even more unbearable. Blackbeard Teach directly used Dark Fruit's ability to wrap their bodies, relying on the buoyancy of this piece of wood, barely survived. And at this time, Luo Qiye looked into the distance and clearly saw Teach's figure going away. Luo Qiye shook his head slightly, with a look of regret on his face. It's a pity, I didn't expect Blackbeard Teach and the Drug Q to survive. These two guys are really lucky, and Dark Fruit's ability is really special. Luo Qiye realized right away that it should be at the critical moment that Blackbeard Teach directly used the ability of the Dark Cave to help the two survive. The members of the Straw Hat Pirates and Fujitora and others looked at Luo Qiye on the deck with strange expressions on their faces, and they were speechless for a moment. Straw Hat Luffy soon burst out laughing, and said, Luo Qiye, you are indeed worthy of it. You have already achieved such brilliant results, and you are still unwilling. You guys are really special. In the eyes of Zoro on the side, there was a strong desire to fight. This is the real strong man, who will never be satisfied with his current strength. Advertisement. 179. Like lost dogs, it doesn't take much effort to destroy them. 5/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Sooner or later, I will definitely challenge you again. Zoro made up his mind completely. And Sanji picked up a slender cigar again, and slowly walked towards Thousand Sunny's kitchen. After experiencing this great battle, the desire for fighting in his heart became even greater. Sure enough, that old man is right. I have nothing to do with the profession of chef in my life. In Sanji's mind, the voice of the red-footed Zapu sounded immediately, and he remembered the earnest teachings of the red-footed Zapu to him. And now that he is devastated, he is eager to return to the ocean of cooking. Only in the field that he is very good at, can his soul be comforted slowly. On the deck of the Nine Snake Pirates, even Fujitora, who has always been calm, couldn't help laughing. My lord, do you want me to go straight and kill Blackbeard and the Drug Q? The two of them are like bereaved dogs now, and it doesn't take much effort to kill them. Momosuge at the side even drew out the long sword at his waist and said, My lord, I'll kill them. Luo Qiye shook his head calmly. No need, Blackbeard Teach has the qualifications to continue to exist in this world. His strength is enough for me to spare him. Like a flower that hasn't bloomed yet, you should take good care of it, wait for the day when it blooms, and then harvest the fruit. Luo Qiye looked at Blackbeard Teach, the direction in which the two fled, eyes full of peace. Fujitora on the side attacked and said yes. They will not worry at all that the Blackbeard pirates will directly take the opportunity to grow in the future and threaten the nuclear peace team. Blackbeard Teach and others were defeated by Luo Qiye, and it is impossible for them to become opponents of the nuclear Pingfan team again in this life. There will no longer be Blackbeard Teach and others in the eyes of the nuclear Pingfan team. Luo Qiye didn't mention Drug Q at all. This guy was originally a person who pretended to be clever and played with fate, and his own strength was not worth mentioning at all. What's more, he is a person who struggles with illness and bad luck all the time. Luo Qiye looks down on continuing to argue with a sick person. I'm afraid even Poison Q himself can't imagine that the reason why he can survive is because he is a real sick child. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you succeeded in pretending to be aggressive and got plus 58,888 points for pretending to be aggressive. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Inside Impel Down. Half an hour ago, the violent fluctuations of the Gorfine's path directly transmitted to the inside of Impel Down, affecting the entire 6th floor prison. Buzz, buzz. Violent shaking sounds continued to appear, and the entire Impel Down was shaking slightly. A large amount of dust is constantly floating in the prison. The 6th floor prison, LV6. Crocodile, who was deep in thought, woke up with a start. What's this? Is someone launching an attack on Impel Down? Crocodile held the iron gate of the prison tightly, and a bright light burst out of his eyes. In a prison cell diagonally opposite, the eyes of Shiryu of the Rain wearing a tattered uniform were full of red light. What a powerful attack, who is this person? This person should be able to give me enough pressure, right? Roar. Shiryu of the Rain suddenly screamed wildly, and the roaring sound was continuously transmitted to the outside world. Magellan, let me out quickly, I'm going to find this guy, I'm going to fight him. Dazzling red light kept flowing in the eyes of Shiryu of the Rain, and this guy completely entered the state of a combatant in an instant. Because he has always liked to torture and kill prisoners, coupled with various excessive actions, he was directly imprisoned by Magellan. And hearing his movements, many prisoners on the 6th floor also showed a curious look on their faces. There was a bright light in the eyes of the S**************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************audio I have to go out as soon as possible. Such a strong man must stay in the ranks of our revolutionary army. The eyes of the King Ivankov began to flicker continuously, and the thoughts in his mind began to run rapidly. As a cadre of the revolutionary army, Ivankov never took her current situation seriously. The reason why she is willing to stay in Impel Down is because she herself has been waiting for an excellent opportunity. And now, Ivankov has a feeling the time is ripe for her to leave. Asking for flowers. In the cell on the other side, a big fat man in a prison uniform was drinking wine. Advertisement. After feeling the violent turmoil, the drunkenness on his face disappeared instantly, and then, a wild smile appeared on his face. Who is this person? I didn't expect to have such strength. It seems that I have been away from the sea for too long and missed some very interesting things. This person is Bask Chote, nicknamed the Alcoholic. Bask Chote is also a felon imprisoned in the 6th floor of the submarine prison. Because of the particularity of the prisoners on the 6th floor, as long as there are some requests that are not too excessive, the jailers will try their best to meet them. In order to prevent Bask Chote from making trouble, Impel Down will provide him with corresponding wine on a regular basis, enough to keep this guy in a groggy state. Meanwhile, Impel Down in the warden's room. The disheveled Magellan sat on the toilet, pouring out the toxins in his body crazily. Boom, boom. At the moment when the gorefiend exploded, Magellan, who was detoxifying, woke up suddenly. Caca. Cracks appeared on the surface of the toilet bowl beneath Magellan's body. Magellan's expression changed suddenly. No way. It won't be so miserable, right? Boom. The next moment, the entire toilet suddenly burst. Magellan was dumbfounded, and then, a thick anger began to surge in his chest. Just when he wanted to get angry, the violent reaction from inside his body made Magellan rush out of the room and came to another toilet. While detoxing, the angry Magellan took out the phone bug and started contacting his subordinates. What the hell is going on? Which dog is playing tricks? Come to Impel Down, isn't it honest? Magellan thought at first that the prisoners on the 6th floor were making trouble again. Under such circumstances, such a terrible movement, I am afraid that only the riots of many prisoners on the 6th floor will happen. However, soon, Magellan's face was filled with astonishment when the news came back from his subordinates. What are you talking about? It's not what's going on inside the prison. Is someone fighting the earth above the sea? Advertisement. 180. Magellan. The place where you die. 1/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Magellan's face immediately turned serious. Immediately find out who the two sides in the battle are. After hanging up the phone, many thoughts flashed through Magellan's mind in an instant. Beware of such strong men. Why do they come to fight near our Impel Down? One of the most important places for world government and marine in Impel Down City. Prisoners who committed many crimes were held here above the sea. These prisoners are atoning for the sins they once committed. The area of Impel Down is stationed with a large number of marine elite soldiers. Therefore, it is impossible for ordinary pirates to approach here easily. Because they may be directly destroyed by marine as an enemy at any time. Don't get close to Impel Down easily, it is already a common rule in the minds of many pirates. 430. Magellan's complexion kept changing, and finally he stood up abruptly after the toxins in his body were exhausted to a certain stage. No, I have to go there myself. Magellan suddenly realized that no matter who the person who caused such a big commotion was, it was absolutely impossible for this person to come to the vicinity of Impel Down and just wander around casually. With Magellan's order, many defensive troops in the entire Impel Down immediately started to activate, and the defense level was directly raised to the highest level. Luo Qiye looked at the tall and majestic Impel Down in the distance, and the densely packed marines around him, and suddenly felt a little interest in his heart. Let's go. We happen to see what's going on with this Impel Down. Luo Qiye suddenly remembered that the rise of Blackbeard teach began with Impel Down. In addition, Luffy and the others happened to be entering Impel Down just now, so Luo Qiye led the 9 snake pirates to approach Impel Down. On the distant sea surface, the defense level of the entire Impel Down has been raised to the highest level. Many marines focused all their attention on the approaching nuclear ping fan team. During the time just now, everyone in Impel Down has already received the latest information, knowing that the person approaching them is Luo Qiye. One of the Marine Vice Admiral's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and he couldn't help but began to order. Advertisement. The artillery is in place, the musketeers are in place. Click. Buzz. A series of heavy artillery directly mobilized the barrels and aimed at the numerous nuclear forces. Many Marine elite soldiers even took out their long guns, loaded their bullets, and were ready to shoot at any time. Many warships on the periphery of Impel Down began to move, as if forming a corresponding chain effect. The gun barrels of many warships were all aimed at Luo Qiye and the others in front of them. The densely packed cannons hung above the warships, and all kinds of shells had already been piled up on the side. Many marines are all staring closely, constantly approaching Luo Qiye. The roar of the engines of warships began to appear, and they could be put into the battlefield at the fastest speed at any time. What they faced was Luo Qiye with a bounty of 2.5 billion, a person who could suppress the 2-4 Emperor's pirate groups. No matter what kind of countermeasures are taken, it is not an exaggeration. Some marines who have just arrived at Impel Down after the rotation always have a look of consternation on their faces. My lord, what is going on here? Even if this guy's bounty reaches 2.5 billion, we don't need to be so vigilant. You know, this is Impel Down, how is it possible? Someone really wants to provoke Impel Down. Many Marines who have just arrived here also have similar questions. At this time, the Warden Magellan came out slowly, with a very ugly expression on his face. With a pair of pointed protrusions on top of Magellan's head and jagged teeth, Magellan looks extremely fierce. Let me tell you why. Many Marines around hurriedly saluted respectfully. Magellan waved his hand casually, and his deep voice began to echo in the audience. Because the guy in front of you is only 10 years old now. But his bounty has climbed to 2.5 billion. You know, even Whitebeard, even the former One Piece Roger, didn't have such ability. As soon as the voice fell, the faces of many recruits present were immediately filled with expressions of astonishment. Advertisement. When Whitebeard and Roger were all taken out as comparison objects, they fully understood how terrifying Luo Qiye's achievements were. At this moment, the nuclear ping fan team is less than 1,000 meters away from the main gate of Impel Down. The sudden appearance of Magellan also attracted the attention of Luo Qiye and others. Fujitora's observation Haki sensed the terrifying energy inside Magellan's body for the first time. It seemed like a good opponent, but there seemed to be something wrong with his body. In Fujitora's senses, one can easily detect that the many toxins accumulated in Magellan's body have affected his body structure. Momoshiki directly drew out the long sword at his waist and said, "Let me meet him for a while. I have long wanted to see Magellan's strength. Impel Down is one of Marine's most valued bases, and Magellan can become the warden permanently, so naturally he is not easy to deal with." Yi always looked at Magellan in front of him indifferently, and said, "How can a person who can't even control himself be so strong?" In front of the main entrance of Impel Down, Magellan looked at the many extremely nervous Marines around him, frowned slightly, and then his hearty voice began to echo in the field. "Everyone, we are Impel Down, the place where all pirates die. No one may offend the majesty of Impel Down, hold the guns in your hands tightly. As long as Luo Qiye and his companions continue to approach, we just need to shoot with all our strength and use our strongest firepower to completely crush them. The dignity of Impel Down is in the hands of everyone." 4.6. No matter how you say it, Luo Qiye is just a 10-year-old child, let this child experience the strength of an adult. Magellan's voice reverberated through the entire sea, even everyone in the nuclear leveling team heard it all. Fujitora and Momoshiki have strange looks on their faces. Magellan is such a funny guy, he's so old. Sure enough, a weird guy, but does he really think that age can determine everything? Hancock stood aside and stared closely at Luo Qiye in front of him, his face full of admiration. So what about 10 years old? An adult has already reached this level at the age of 10. Who in this world can compare with an adult? Update sent. Ask for a little evaluation vote. Ask for a little flour. Advertisement. 181. I don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth. 2/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Luo Qiye looked at Magellan in front of him calmly, clearly sensing that the toxins in Magellan's body were constantly expanding and spreading. Luo Qiye shook his head slightly, with a calm look on his face. Did you see that? Magellan was laughing, but there was sadness in his eyes. Magellan, cry. After today, you may not have the right to cry again. Magellan was stunned for a moment. Facing the mighty Luo Qiye, he was indeed very apprehensive, but as a prison warden, Magellan naturally couldn't show his timidity in front of the enemy. Unexpectedly, her disguise was immediately revealed by Luo Qiye. A strong sense of embarrassment appeared in Magellan's chest. Fire. All artillery fire hits in full force. I want this arrogant brat to stay here completely. Magellan's right hand swung sharply. Then, the entire Impel Down was like a huge war machine, and it started to move in an instant. Buzz. Buzz. A series of dull voices began to echo in the audience. A large number of warships opened fire directly at the first time. 24. Boom. Boom. The sound of violent roaring continued, and shells flew directly into the air one after another. The dense shells even formed a huge black bullet net in midair. The sea surface within 300 meters around the nuclear ping fan team was completely covered. At the same time, they had already been prepared a long time ago, and many Marine elite soldiers began to frantically pull the triggers in their hands. Bang bang. Gunshots continued to sound, and yellow shell casings continued to fall to the ground. A large number of bullets pierced the sky and shot directly at Luo Qiye and others. Seeing this scene, Edward Wabel, who had already had itchy hands, stood up directly. Ha ha ha, my lord, this time, I can finally do it. Swish. Edward Wabel's figure flashed, and his muscular body came directly to the front of the deck, holding a juvenile knife with a length of 2 meters in his hand. Swish. The naginata in Edward Wabel's hand swung suddenly, and a white blade glow rushed forward. Advertisement. The strongest weapon in this world is the knife, not the so-called cannonball. The length of this white sword glow directly exceeded 10 meters, and the width even exceeded a huge meter. This blade light extended directly to the front. The white sword glow directly crossed many shells. Bang bang. A series of explosion props sounded continuously. The knife light directly cuts many shells, and explodes directly in midair. There seemed to be a firework show in midair, which was extraordinarily gorgeous. It's not over yet, little ones of Impel Down, keep your eyes open. The naginata in Edward Wabel's hand began to swing wildly, and his arms even turned into phantoms in the first moment. Swish swish. The sound of piercing the sky continued to sound, and the white blade lights flew into the air densely. All the bullets and shells that were coming towards the nuclear war team were intercepted. In less than a minute, all the shells fired by Marine were intercepted outside the nuclear team. Edward Wable nodded contentedly, and said, "It's not bad, you should understand that, right? Cannonballs are completely useless in front of a broadsword." Edward Wable laughed loudly, holding a long juvenile knife in his hand, and his face was full of complacency. At this time, Luo Qiye was standing quietly on the deck, because Qiye's body didn't move at all. He didn't pay attention to the many shells that flew over just now. The ships of the nuclear flat team began to approach Impel Down slowly. Even the ships of the nuclear peace team were not affected in any way. Seeing this scene, Magellan's face became very gloomy. Damn, it seems that I still underestimate them. Boom. There was a bursting sound, and a large amount of green poisonous gas was released directly from Magellan's body. The strong poisonous gas began to entangle continuously in the midair. Looking from a distance, with Magellan's body as the center, a green cloud even appeared on the deck of the marine warship. A large number of green things began to gather continuously, and even began to affect the air in the upper half of the crowd. Poison cloud. Under Magellan's full output, a huge cloud of oil and green smoke appeared, and then drifted directly towards the location of the nuclear pingfan team. Advertisement. Seeing this, Momoshiki gently shook the long sword in his hand, his eyes full of desire to fight. Ha ha ha, let me meet this guy for a while. Luffy shot directly at the first time, his arms stretched suddenly, and he ejected directly towards Magellan. Poof. Luffy bit his thumb directly, and blew wildly towards the cracks in the bones. The blood in Luffy's body began to flow crazily, and he immediately entered the third gear state. Rubber giant bazooka. Luffy's arms expanded hundreds of times in an instant, and his hands suddenly stretched backwards, and then, with the help of elastic force, they rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. With both hands intertwined, Luffy's arms seemed to have completely turned into a rocket launcher in an instant. Boom. Magellan swung his right arm violently. In Sanji's eyes, two bright lights flashed, and soon, he reached a position not far from Magellan. Then, a large number of poisonous clouds in the midair immediately fell, directly covering the bodies of Luffy and the others. However, at this time, Magellan had a look of disdain on his face. Zoro holds a famous sword in each of his left and right hands, and his arms are crossed, forming a state like a rhinoceros horn. A group of little guys who don't know the heights of the sky and the earth. Two swords flow, Rhino return. How could I miss my chance to fight? During the flight of 813 with both arms in midair, sonic booms sounded continuously. Special skill, advance pork pot shoot. Are you trying to be cannon fodder for Luo Qiye? I will fulfill you today. Then a thick green sword energy immediately poured forward. Magellan's expression became very hideous. Sanji's body was in the air, and at the same time, his right foot kicked forward and sideways, aiming at Magellan's temple. The green sword energy formed a tornado in the field, and the tip of the tornado looked like a rhinoceros horn, rushing directly towards Magellan in the distance. Sanji uses moonwalk to keep getting closer to Magellan. Swish. At the same time, Zoro and Sanji, who had already prepared for a long time, shot at the first time. Advertisement. 182. A sword comes, shocking the audience. 3/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. At the same time, Luffy and Luffy had no room to resist at all, and were directly covered by the green poisonous cloud. Fortunately, Zoro was far away from Magellan's position, so it was not affected by any. And Luffy and Sanji are miserable. The expressions of the two of them changed immediately. Ah, what is this? My arm. Luffy found that his arms began to show signs of withering in an instant, and the skin was slowly shrinking. Sanji also noticed that his right leg was burning hot. You must know that the right leg is an important part of his combat. Once an irreversible injury occurs to his right leg, his whole body will be greatly affected. Swish. At the same time, Magellan's body rushed up immediately and came into midair. Two little guys, your strength is still far behind mine. Magellan's right fist swung wildly. Two straight right uppercuts hit Sanji and Luffy on the cheeks. Bang, bang. Then there was no accident, the bodies of the two were shot back to the position of the nuclear pingfan team like a shell. Seeing this scene, above Thousand Sunny, the faces of Usopp's people changed drastically. Usopp's eyes were wide open, and he moved back and forth in a hurry, not knowing how to rescue the two of Luffy. Nami and Robin also had eager looks on their faces. At this time, the bodies of Luffy and Sanji were like cannonballs, whistling in midair. Seeing this, Fujitora slowly stretched out the sword in his hand. Fujitora waved the staff lightly. A thick purple aura immediately covered the front, and the gravity in midair was directly affected in an instant. The bodies of Luffy and Sanji stayed in midair for a while, and then fell lightly on the deck. Two reckless little fellows. You underestimate Magellan's strength. At this time, everyone could clearly see that some green Madara spots had appeared on the surface of Luffy and Sanji's bodies. Zoro's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly shouted, Chopper, come quickly, the two of them are poisoned. Swish. Chopper's hooves slammed down on the railing, and he turned into a militia and came to the deck of the nuclear pingfan team. Advertisement. Chopper immediately took out his exclusive small medicine box, and began to examine the two of Luffy carefully. At this time, Momoshiki and Fujitora walked to the front of the deck at the same time, and their eyes locked on Magellan in the distance. A guy with good strength. Fujitora's eyes were full of calmness, and the staff knife in his hand was already eager to try. The long sword in Momosegi's hand has also been drawn out, that is, the black armament haki has begun to cover the whole body. Although the decision of several members of the Straw Hat Pirates to join the battlefield directly was a little too hasty, but at least they were injured because of the nuclear flat team. How could Fujitora and Momosegi turn a blind eye? At this moment, Luo Qiye waved his hand slightly, and said calmly, "Get back. Let me take a look at this guy with 2 horns." The magic knife thousand blades appeared in Luo Qiye's hand, and he looked at Magellan who was covered in green smoke in the distance with great interest. Cut the way, cut the endless obsession, break the endless falsehood. Luo Qiye waved the magic knife Qian Ren gently. Sword. Hum. An invisible fluctuation immediately swept the audience. The entire sea quickly began to shake crazily. A large amount of seawater exploded, and many marine organisms below the sea surface died in an instant, and thick blood was sprinkled all over the audience in an instant. Boom. The sound of cracking appeared, and then, a large amount of seawater began to condense continuously. Luo Qiye made some changes to this move. Then, a large amount of seawater formed a kilometer-long river in an instant. Looking at the whole river as a whole, it looks like a huge sword energy, shaking gently in midair. How about trying my trick? Luo Qiye waved his hand calmly. Hum. A huge river of swords as large as a kilometer was formed directly, hanging upside down in the midair, and directly bombarded Magellan in front of him. In an instant, Magellan's complexion changed drastically. What's the situation? Magellan's face changed from green to iron blue, and finally to red. Damn it, how strong is this guy? There was a warning sign in Magellan's heart, and then he began to condense his own toxins crazily. Advertisement. Then, a large amount of toxins formed a group of aggregates in midair. Dragon. The huge toxin aggregate directly turned into a dragon-shaped poison. Let me try your true strength. Luo Qiye, I can't lose. Boom. Then, the huge dragon-shaped poison, which was as long as 300 meters, directly brought a whistling sound, and headed towards the river of swords and swords in front of it. The two collided suddenly. Boom. The huge roar sounded immediately. However, the poisonous dragon as huge as 300 meters was directly wiped out by the sword and river in the first place. Boom. At the same time, the 1,000-meter-long river of swords, without the slightest stagnation, bombarded directly in the direction of Magellan. At the last moment, Magellan's face was livid, and he only had time to cover the surface of his body with the thick armament haki. Boom. The next moment, Magellan's body was completely submerged by the river of swords. Boom. Magellan's huge body was like a broken sack, constantly flying backwards. Boom. There was a roar, and Magellan's body hit the outermost gate of Impel Down. The Impel Down gate, known as the Iron Wall, looked like paper. Magellan's body, Qian Li's, penetrated the gate directly, and finally came to the city wall of the second line of defense of Impel Down. Boom. The huge roaring sound continued, and Magellan's body was firmly embedded in the city wall of the second line of defense. Caw 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 caw. Under everyone's astonished eyes, dense cracks appeared on the surface of the city wall of Impel Down's second line of defense. With a loud bang, Impel Down 1/3 of the second line of defense and collapsed in an instant. But at this time, the mighty 1,000-meter river of swords and swords completely disappeared. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates came back to their senses, and saw the advancement ahead. Starting from the gate, a huge trace of a kilometer appeared. On the traces along the way, whether it is the gate of Impel Down or the city wall, everything is completely broken. Along the way, the warships and marines touched by Magellan's body were completely turned into dense fragments, scattered on the sea surface. Advertisement. 183. It's simply not a son of man. It's only 1,000,000 points stronger. 4/5. Ask for full order. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. The power of one blow is so terrifying. At this time, the huge gully at the Impel Down scene seemed to indicate Magellan's tragic end just now. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates stared at the scene in front of them dumbfounded. Especially Luffy and the others who were defeated directly in front of Magellan just now, their eyes widened even more tightly. Luffy couldn't help but said, "How strong is Luo Qiye? Did he kill Magellan directly?" The look on Sanji's face was extremely complicated. Sure enough, this guy is very strong, and Magellan's poison can't even get close to his body. At this moment, Zoro was staring at the front even more tightly. Luo Qiye, who was holding a magic knife with thousands of blades, had a strong look of longing in his eyes. One day, I will definitely be as strong as Luo Qiye. In this short period of time, Zoro's world view has been rebuilt many times, and his whole person seems to be completely reborn. And the members of the Hepping fan team have already made corresponding judgments about all this. They have also seen Luo Qiye's full firepower, and they are not at all curious about Magellan's tragic situation. But Hancock was different. There was tenderness in his eyes, and his body was swaying slightly, as if he was forcibly suppressing a subtle emotion. The many marines around them froze in place. Master Warden, is the battle 103 defeated? How could the Lord Warden fail? Didn't your lord even hold a move in front of Luo Qiye? The foreheads of many marine generals were covered with cold sweat, and their legs were a little weak. In so many years, they have experienced many battles as the defenders of Impel Down. But it was the first time I saw such a terrifying powerhouse like Luo Qiye, who directly destroyed the gate of Impel Down with just one blow. Be aware that the gates of Impel Down are specially designed to resist foreign enemies many times over the centuries. Without this gate, I am afraid that the entire Impel Down has been wiped out several times. The gate of Impel Down has always been regarded as a backing by many pirates, but at this moment it is completely worthless in front of Luo Qiye. Luo Qiye looked at the scene in front of him calmly, CECG, shook his head slightly, and his calm voice echoed in the field. Advertisement. Magellan. A little fat guy who has a problem with his body. It seems that I am still slightly stronger than him. Too weak. This guy is really too weak. Hearing Luo Qiye's words, the people present couldn't even think of what words to refute. It's really only a billion points. This time, even Fujitori's mouth twitched Kakuzu uncontrollably. The entire Impel Down has been destroyed like this, and Luo Qiye even keeps saying that he is only a little stronger than Magellan. Simply inappropriate. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have successfully pretended to be aggressive, and you have gained plus 47,777 points for pretending to be aggressive. Close black lens bracket. Luo Qiye listened to the system prompt sounding in the back of his mind, looked at Impel Down in front of him, and shook his head slightly. It's really a place without any difficulty. It doesn't make any sense to stay here, right? In an instant, Luo Qiye completely lost all curiosity about Impel Down. After all, even the strongest Magellan couldn't survive a move under his hands, so even if he continued to fight in, what's the point? What do those prisoners who can be directly imprisoned by Magellan in the depths of Impel Down count? Of course, among them, it naturally also has the function of the corresponding seastone handcuffs in Impel Down. At this moment, under the treatment of Chopper, Luffy and Luffy stood up alive again. Luffy said excitedly, "Great, this time, we can directly take the opportunity to enter the interior. We just need to turn the entire Impel Down into a mess, then, when the time comes, Marine will inevitably send troops back to rescue." This is what the Straw Hat Pirates have always been thinking. They only need to continue to sabotage inside Impel Down, and the Marines have to allocate corresponding forces. In this way, there will be fewer Marines guarding Ace in the headquarters. The pressure on the Whitebeard pirates and others will be less. In this way, even though they couldn't reach the battlefield directly, they could still be regarded as contributing a great deal to Ace. After all, Impel Down is still very important, and from the very beginning, there was no problem with their thinking. Advertisement. Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates had already reached a consensus, so with Luffy's order, Nami quickly turned the rudder and walked straight ahead. The path they were walking on happened to be the huge ravine that Magellan's body had pulled out. Walking along this gap to the inside, the many Marines along the way did not dare to stop it easily. After all, after Luo Qiye had just made a move, the terrible consequences of that move were still vivid in his mind. Luo Qiye was still standing there. No matter who these Marines wanted to attack, they had to weigh whether their bodies were strong enough. Right here, a loud sound came from the inside of Impel Down. Boom. Then, a huge wave accompanied it, and a speedboat more than 30 meters long jumped out of it directly. Magellan, with a pair of horns on his head, stood on top of the speedboat with a hideous look on his face. A large number of waves accompanied him, making Magellan move very fast. "You idiots, what do you want? With me here, no one wants to go into Impel Down." Magellan charged directly at the Straw Hat Pirates aggressively. At the same time, thick green poisonous mist began to appear on the scene. Once again, Magellan became a huge center of poison, and began to continuously spread towards the surroundings. Even many Marines around couldn't help but backed up. At this time, many Marine generals couldn't help being slightly taken aback when they saw Magellan's current situation. It seems that this time the Warden is really going to get serious. We haven't seen Lord Warden in this state for a long time. The Warden is not dead, that's great, it seems that we have hope for Impel Down again. For the many Marines in Impel Down, Magellan is the strongest among them. As long as Magellan doesn't fall, anything is possible. Over the years, Impel Down has been hit many times, but it has been standing still because of the existence of Magellan. Seeing this scene, Luo Qiye couldn't help but a look of surprise flashed across his face, and couldn't help chuckling. Advertisement. 184. Straw Hat Boy, can you participate in this level of battle? Advertisement. What a tenacious guy, he is still alive in this world. But so what, heaven defying, there are exceptions. Nawoo, there is no life at all. Back on the battlefield, Magellan stepped on the speedboat with a crazy look on his face. Give me death. Marine's face cannot be trampled on by you pirates. Get ready for torture like never before. I will make all of your bodies perish in pain and torture. Magellan's face was full of anger, and a large amount of venom was constantly brewing inside her body. Even the surface of the entire speedboat has been covered with a layer of green smoke. Many people even saw a little white smoke appearing on the surface of the speedboat. This is because the specially made speedboat could not withstand the erosion of these poisons. Seeing this, the expressions of the surrounding Marines changed drastically. In the mind of one of the Marine generals, images of Magellan's previous battles appeared. Hiss. It's too scary. Is Lord Magellan going to use that move directly? Master Magellan has not appeared in this state for a long time. This time, these pirates are dead. That's right, especially the members of the Straw Hat Pirates who tried to break into it directly, they are the first to bear the brunt. On the former battlefield, during a certain crisis of Impel Down, Impel Down's first line of defense has been completely breached. Magellan faced more than 200 pirates at the same time. The situation was already precarious. But the poison inside Magellan's body exploded directly, killing more than 200 pirates on the spot. It is precisely because of this that Magellan's name has spread throughout the entire marine, and even the entire world. Impel Down has gradually become a forbidden place in the hearts of all pirates. At this time, the Straw Hat Pirates are closest to Magellan. Nami's face suddenly changed. Damn it, why is this guy still alive? Under that kind of attack, can he survive? Robin sucked in a breath of air at the same time, and said, as expected of the warden of Impel Down, his own strength is really too strong. Sanji took a deep puff of the slender cigarette, and directly turned on the dog gear. This guy's vitality is so strong, its vitality is even comparable to the vitality of all the ingredients I have seen. The smile on Luffy's face has completely disappeared, and his eyes are full of solemn expressions. Advertisement. It seems that this time we have no way out. But even if he is still alive, this guy should already be seriously injured. Let me weigh his fineness again. Luffy directly bit his right thumb, and then frantically blew it into the gap between the bones. Boom. Luffy's right leg swelled suddenly, and then, expanded hundreds of times in size. Looking from a distance, the huge right leg reaching more than 100 meters stretches across the air. Rubber giant tomahawk. Luffy's right leg suddenly hammered downward, making sonic booms in the air. A large amount of air was continuously compressed, and the violent sound reverberated throughout the field, making many marines stare at it. Swish. At the same time, Luffy's right arm was pulled towards the rear at the same time, ready to continue fighting. At this time, Magellan saw Luffy rushing over suddenly, with a look of disdain on his face. He is really a guy who doesn't know how to live or die. This time you will completely fall into the sea for me. Swish. Magellan jumped forward, stepped on a warship, and directly supported Luffy's right leg firmly. Jet black armament Haki are attached to the surface of his hands. Boom. A dull voice sounded, and Magellan grabbed Luffy's right leg with his own hands. Luffy's face suddenly changed. What? Luffy started tugging on his right leg repeatedly, but to no avail. Magellan took direct control of his body with sheer strength. Then, a cold look appeared on Magellan's face. Straw Hat Luffy, do you really think you can participate in this level of fighting? Fall into the sea. Magellan's right fist passed by suddenly, and then attached to Armament Haki's fist, it immediately smashed into Luffy's body. At the same time, Magellan's left hand tightly grabbed Luffy's right leg, pulling towards the fist. Asking for flowers. Advertisement. Looking from a distance, I can see that Luffy seems to be controlling his body at this moment, colliding with Magellan's fist. The expressions of everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates suddenly changed. Even Zoro, who has always been extremely calm, couldn't help but said, no, something went wrong again. You must know that Luo Qiye is still a certain distance from them at this time, unless he chooses to rescue at the first time, it is impossible to succeed. Of course, the main reason is that Luo Qiye didn't have this idea from the beginning. It is enough for him not to target the Straw Hat Pirates. Otherwise, who can survive the one-on-one confrontation with him? Boom. Not surprisingly, Luffy's body flew backwards like a broken sack. 0. Luffy's whole body has been completely numb, and the green poisonous mist has even begun to seep into his body. Her body was already infiltrated with toxin just by being touched by Magellan's fist. It is enough to see how much venom is hidden inside Magellan's body. At this time, a light flashed in the new eyes. Thousands of flowers bloom. Robin's hands were directly interlaced, and under the influence of devil fruit, a large number of arms began to appear layer by layer, blocking the only way for Luffy's body to pass. Boom. Luffy's body hit the layers of arms directly. Then the crisp impact sounded continuously, and the arm transformed by Robin using devil fruit was constantly shattering. In the end, when only the last layer of Wanwa Blossom was left, Luffy's body was finally supported directly. Robin let out a heavy breath, fine sweat had appeared on his forehead. The huge impact force inside Luffy's body made her almost unable to bear it. Swish. Already ready, Zoro rushed over, grabbed Luffy, and returned to the deck. Luffy, are you okay? Zoro looked at the disheveled Luffy, and hurriedly called loudly. And at this time, Chopper, who was carrying a small medicine box, came over directly again and started to rescue Luffy. Chopper's face became very serious. Advertisement. 185. Have you completely become an incompetent and furious reckless man like now? Open black lens bracket 2/5 full order close black lens bracket. Advertisement. After a simple rescue, Chopper directly said, this time Luffy's problem is very serious, and these toxins have begun to enter his body. If in the previous attack, the corresponding toxin was only attached to the surface of Luffy's skin, then this time it had already penetrated under the skin and began to erode his body. Such challenges also need to be treated with caution for Chopper. But at this time, after the hit, the expression on Magellan's face became even crazier. Luo Qiye, with me here, you can never step into Impel Down. Magellan's face was full of madness. A large amount of venom began to crazily spread from his body to the outside world. The rich venom layered on top of each other, and finally, the entire sky seemed to turn into a 943 patch of green. A large amount of venom began to mix in it irregularly, and Magellan's body was completely wrapped in venom, which looked extraordinarily weird. Many Marines around Magellan had already left the scene. Everyone knew very well that the current Magellan was completely enraged. If they continued to stay at the scene, the only thing waiting for them was death. After all, it is impossible for even them to survive Magellan's venom. At this time, Luo Qiye quietly watched the scene in front of him. What if I survived? Have you completely become an incompetent and furious reckless man like you are now? I've said it before, Nawu, there is no chance of life. Luo Qiye directly extended his right hand. Rich energy fluctuations began to continuously gather towards his hands. The energy of various colors began to gather in it, and finally formed a distinct color. The three colors are mixed together, like a gorgeous lotus. This three-color lotus is in it, constantly rotating. Even from a distance, the breath in the sky in the upper half of the sky was completely affected. A huge lotus phantom appeared above the entire sky. Advertisement. This lotus flower also presents three colors. In the eyes of everyone, the whole world seems to have completely become three colors. Zoro, who was watching the battle, stretched out his right hand subconsciously, but found that his right hand seemed to have turned into three colors. At this moment, everything around Luo Qiye seemed to be infected. In the eyes of everyone, only the three colors of the Buddha's anger fire lotus can be seen. Go. Luo Qiye gently pushed his right hand, and the white Buddha's wrath lotus in his eyes immediately flew forward. The three-color fire lotus is spinning in it, and a large amount of surrounding air is constantly being driven. Looking from a distance, the volume of the three-color fire lotus expanded hundreds of times during the flight. In Magellan's case, this huge tricolor fire lotus completely obscured all his paths. Magellan's complexion suddenly changed, but there was no sign of timidity in his eyes. Because before he set off, he had already thought about it, and it was absolutely impossible for him to easily survive this battle. But there is no way, he is the warden of Impel Down after all. At this time, there must be absolutely no retreat. Once he retreats directly, then Impel Down will be completely defenseless. At that time, many prisoners inside Impel Down will be able to come in and out at will, and this terrible consequence is simply not something they can bear. Bring it on. Magellan began to frantically control the venom inside his body, spewing out to the surroundings. Stripes of dragons appeared around Magellan's body, slamming his body into existence. Numerous poisonous dragons wrapped around his body, rushing towards the three-color fire lotus in front of him. At this moment, Magellan didn't want to stop here at all, because for him, once they retreated, the impact on them would become even greater. Under the circumstances, Magellan was completely insane. At this time, the faces of Fujitora and others were also full of astonishment. What surprised them most was that Magellan didn't flinch in the slightest in the face of such a situation. But at this time, Luo Qiye didn't care about Magellan's performance at all. No matter whether Magellan can survive this blow, he no longer has any meaning and value to Luo Qiye. Advertisement. Buzz. The three-color Buddha's wrath lotus is constantly rotating in it, and the three colors are extremely dazzling in it. The many poisonous dragons around Magellan's body were completely shattered in an instant, and a large amount of venom completely disappeared under the baking of three colors. The so-called venom that can directly kill people can't stop the advance of the three-color Buddha's wrath lotus at all. Then, Magellan's body was directly blown away by the huge shock wave, and the venom on the surface of its body did not play any blocking role at all. At the same time, the three-color Buddha Fury Lotus seemed to be unaffected, and directly hit the city wall in front of it. Boom, boom, boom. The waves on the sea surface are constantly surging, a large number of marine organisms are completely broken into pieces, and blood water begins to spread continuously on the sea surface. Intense roaring sounds began to resound continuously, the first city wall of Impel Down was completely broken, and the moment a large number of Madara marks appeared, the city wall was completely shattered. Otherwise, on this messy battlefield, it would be almost impossible for these warships to complete the U-turn directly. Thanks to the corresponding special devices equipped on Marine's warships, it is possible to directly rear the ship without turning the bow. The three breaths of the three-color Buddha's wrath lotus dissipate here, pouring out continuously towards the surroundings. At the same time, a large amount of debris fell directly into the sea surface, and the seawater exploded directly. At this moment, the foreheads of many marine vice-admirals were covered with cold sweat, and they ordered immediately. Back now, back now. Under such circumstances, fragments of the city wall began to fall continuously, and the entire periphery of Impel Down was completely turned into ruins. All the marines on the scene collapsed completely, and began to surge towards the rear frantically. More than 20 marine warships completely collapsed under the aftermath attack of the Buddha's Fury Lotus, becoming a large number of wrecks. And the many jailers that still existed in Impel Down also completely collapsed. A large number of marine warships began to retreat towards the rear continuously. Open black lens bracket 2/5. 1 full order. Close black lens bracket. They didn't have the courage to continue to intercept it. Under such circumstances, the bodies of some marines closer to Magellan were completely torn to pieces in an instant. The huge power formed by the three-color Buddha's wrath lotus directly caused a large number of waves to appear in the sea. Advertisement.